night's meeting. Vanessa, if you could, call the roll, please.
Sure. Chair Davis,
Yes, here.
Vice Chair Milligan,
Here.
Treasurer DeVarty,
Already here.
Secretary Hatcher,
Here.
Trustee Fleming,
Here.
Trustee McKnight Morton,
Here.
Trustee Milshine.
Here.
Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Support.
Thank you. Excuse me. For tab A, the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the minutes of the April 25, 2023 monthly meeting and the May 3rd, 2023 special meeting minutes as submitted. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Support. Ew.
That's a voice vote, right? Okay.
Verbal communications, WCC education.
No, I think
we should vote.
we should vote on it.
The minutes.
Oh, excuse me,
We should
Ms. Kissel.
have a vote. It doesn't have to be by roll call, right? Just a voice vote.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's why you, I apologize. Thank you, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, moving on to verbal communication, Ms. Kissel.
Good evening.
Hello.
Oh, no.
All right, let's see if I can get the glasses right today. Maybe not. Aging is great. So it's May 2023, and graduation day is always so very special. And for me, the moment when the graduates get to move their tassels right to left is really what encapsulates the joy of the day, really of their journey at WCC. And so this annual ritual is just such an important opportunity for all of us to reflect on the work that we've done in preparing these graduates and knowing that our efforts, whether recognized formally or not, can make such a difference in the lives of our graduates and our community. Regarding grievances, there are no active grievances currently. However, the time between semesters was filled with hours of discussion concerning changes and errors made by the administration without proper notice. Had Dr. Blanca and Dr. Vega not been willing to work with the WCCEA to remedy the situation, there would have been 2 grievances filed the first week of May. While we're pleased to have solved the issues, both issues could have been managed or avoided through open conversations before decisions were made that would impact the membership. The WCCEA is also scheduled to begin negotiations for the adjunct contract on Friday. As the adjunct portion of the contract is short compared to the master agreement, we're hopeful to have a clear timeline for completed negotiations after our Friday meeting. I want to extend a thank you to our adjunct negotiation team for their efforts preparing and the time that they put into these negotiations. The WCCEA is also continuing discussions around flexible schedules and evaluations, but at this time I do not have a sense of when these items will reach a conclusion. This is also a time of the year that many of us are involved in hiring committees for faculty and staff across campus. In looking over the job postings today, there are 14 full-time staff positions and 3 full-time faculty positions posted. This does not take into account the interim positions and the positions likely to be posted. According to a January article, The Great Resignation at Community Colleges from Inside Higher Ed, community colleges across the country are struggling to recruit and hire new people after losing faculty and staff members in droves during the pandemic. The institutions lost 13% of their employees nationally from January 2020 to April 2022. And unlike the 4-year colleges, which have made up much of their losses, community colleges have lagged in their recovery. We've all read and heard these statistics, and our active job postings support this trend. It is the loss of the institutional knowledge that most deeply impacts WCC. This means more work for those of us who remain and more time needed to train new employees. Therefore, retention of our highly skilled employees is a must now and into the future. As I noted last month, when people leave or retire from WCC, this body must ask if those leaving felt part of a community. Were they respected and valued for their service? Moreover, this body must also ask if this institution is doing all it can to support its employees who remain dedicated to WCC. Understanding the reasons why people leave and how best to make people want to stay at WCC will allow us to continue to support the students and witness the magic of graduation days long into the future. Thank you.
You.
Are there any public announcements? Were there any written communications? You said two? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the strategic plan goals and accomplishments by Dr. Julie Morrison.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're very pleased to be here tonight, as we are every May, to present to you accomplishments related to our strategic plan. And tonight we will also be telling you a little bit about some of our plans for the future. And I will be joined by a number of people. This is never a one-person job, and even with the people that join me tonight, they're representative of people across the campus who are working on these initiatives. So strategic planning at WCC, some context, goes back to 2011, really, as you probably will recall. The original strategic plan, Shaping Our Future, grew out of the fact that we lacked a history of strategic planning on campus. And the board, when they hired President Blanca, specifically were looking for someone who would had experience in that area and who would undertake a strategic planning process, which she did. And that process was a year-long process of gathering data, meeting with people across campus and out in the community, and with the help of a kind of cross-functional strategic planning group, developing the priorities and goals that became Shaping Our Future, which was a 3-year plan. And you will see all of the boards around us, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but they're representative of the goals that have come out of these strategic plans. And that first Shaping Our Future was a 3-year plan. And once those goals were resolved after 3 years, we decided that the priorities of the strategic plan should continue. And we had another 3-year cycle, Shaping Our Future Together. And after that 3-year iteration of the strategic plan, we did the same thing, reevaluated, looked at data, and again had Shaping Our Future Success, which is the 3-year cycle that we're in and coming to the end of right now. What binds all of these together are the 8 strategic priorities, and these are the priorities that original strategic planning team helped define based on all of the information that we gathered back with that original strategic plan. Professional development and organizational health, student success and satisfaction, innovation, agility, and responsiveness, visibility and branding, workforce development, partnerships, funding and resources, and community engagement and development. They're intentionally broad to cover the many things that we do here, but they also really do define the priorities that we have before us as we serve our students. And now I'll take a minute to introduce Julie Stewart, who you see working over there. She might be a familiar face to some of you because she's been here before. And Julie has been with us with each iteration of the strategic plan early in the process to help capture the places that we want to go. And we have the boards here, but you also see them up on the screen, that has been really served as a roadmap for us. And not just a roadmap, but also documentation of what we've achieved. And the one that you'll see up on the screen right now is the first one from Shaping Our Future 2012 to 2015. And you will see things that are now part of this institution that arose out of that strategic plan, things like the Entrepreneurship Center and the ATC and the Teaching and Learning Center. And here's the next one, and this one is from 2016 for Shaping Our Future Together. And again, you'll see things like online learning. You'll see things like the safety and security and diversity and inclusion. So these are things that have been worked on and achieved. And when we had Julie here to design these roadmaps for us, that was as we were really launching these. And now we can see how they've been realized. And finally, this is the current one for 2020, 2023. Julie did this right before COVID hit. This was in late February of 2020. And this is for shaping our future vision, or shaping our future success, actually, is what we called the plan. And this is what we're talking about, some of these accomplishments tonight. And we're glad she's back here with us tonight to help us with another roadmap a little later this evening. So why strategic planning? Why do we do this activity? Well, primarily to identify the goals and the initiatives that position us for current and future success for the institution and for our students. It supports the infrastructure for our decision making and our operational planning on a day-to-day level. And perhaps most important of all, it really helps us address the internal and external opportunities and challenges that we meet every day and which become ever increasing. Things like shifting enrollments and demographics, the impact of legislation, both federal and state, changing employer and job market demands, which is ever more rapid, changes across higher education like technology, instructional delivery, excuse me, and innovation, and changing needs of students, community, business, and industry. And those are just a few examples. That doesn't include anything like a pandemic, for example. Shaping our future success 2020-23, the cycle that we're in right now. We developed in 2019-2020 the goals of that plan. And to do that, we incorporated feedback from the campus master plan process, as well as community input. We looked at trend data and collected also external data for analysis, and we did a SWOT assessment. We looked at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the 3-year goals that we devised, we introduced to the board in February of 2020, as we just said. And the plan infrastructure was really critical during COVID. Plan rolled out right before COVID, and it really helped us get through COVID. One of our primary goals in that plan was building online learning and having an online services to complement our online classes. And that really held us in good stead during COVID. COVID had an impact on the plan with the prioritization, timing, and revisiting of certain goals. And throughout this time, we have presented updates to the board that are related to the goals throughout the year. We present every year at this time, but throughout the year, you'll also get updates related to these goals. So for example, just this year, some of the goals we've talked about here in front of the board are esports. We had a presentation and a tour. Our grants updates, the CCAT grant update and mobility-related initiatives, our annual and fall student profile presentation that gives you information on students, financial aid, and scholarship data, our capital project updates and tours, such as the GL building, updates on college and career readiness with the focus on Park Ridge and Eastern Washtenaw County, diversity and inclusion updates with student success information, and our free college day updates. So those are just a few examples of what we've updated you on throughout the year. I mentioned the SWOT that we looked at, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you've seen this diagram before when we first presented the plan. And we're just showing it to you to let you know that we don't look at it once and then put it away. We continue to look at it. We've actually reviewed it within the last year, and this is the one version that you saw, but it's under kind of constant review because things are constantly changing. And this is a really important tool for us as we continue to plan. Tonight's agenda. So what will we be talking about tonight? First, we'll be talking about accomplishments. We'll be giving you the outcomes of some highlighted goals from 2022, 2023. Not all of the goals, because there's a lot of them. You have in your folder one of these, which we also give you every year, which is a very high level summary of all of the goals. And we also have our annual update that's a published update that we give to all faculty and staff on campus in August. So a new one of these will be out in August. But tonight we'll be giving you highlighted goals of those areas that were really most impactful this year. And then after that, we'll be talking about some goals that are sort of our vision for the future. They're goal areas for the next 3 years that really are visionary, but they build on our prior work. And they're designed that way to ensure our future success. So we'll talk about that after we talk about some of the accomplishments of the current plan. And those accomplishments, here are those highlighted goal areas of significant impact this year that we'll be giving you an update on those accomplishments tonight. And these are all related to those 8 strategic plan priorities. So the first will be employee health and wellness, and that'll be an update from Vice President Chris Mahaley. That relates to professional development and organizational health. And then we'll be talking about student success initiatives with Provost Blakey, and that relates to student success and satisfaction. We'll be talking about digital means to promote the college, and that will be Vice President Lori Mouton. That relates to visibility and branding. And then we'll have Vice President Brandon Tucker, and he'll be talking about several of our priorities: workforce development, partnerships, funding and resources, and community engagement and development. And he'll be talking about several initiatives related to all of those. And then once we do that, we will move on to talking about what we'll be doing in the future. And the 4th items that we'll be talking about will be creating best-in-class online campus learning experience, implementing targeted student success initiatives, creating a data analytics structure to support decision-making, and then developing a new master plan to meet the changing needs of students in the campus. And underpinning all of this, of course, is our mission, vision, and values. So those are the 4 items we'll be talking about after we give you an update on our accomplishments. And these 4 items are what we see as things to help us be successful in the future and build on the work that we are already doing on campus. So with that, I will turn it over to Vice President Chris Mahaley to talk about professional development and organizational health and our initiatives there.
Hello, everyone. It's been a while since we've talked about employee wellness, so very excited to update you on what we've been working on. So priority 1, professional development and organizational health. And the goal with priority 1 is to create and deliver a holistic and comprehensive health and wellness program for WCC employees. So I'm going to cover this in 2 parts. First, something that we've just worked on for last year that I'm very excited about, and then the ongoing work we've been doing and will continue to do in the future. So I'll be honest, our employee wellness plan over the last couple years has been all over the place. We've had a variety of initiatives and activities. We've looked at things such as fitness. We've looked at diet and healthy eating. We've looked at COVID and infection prevention and behavioral health and any other wellness trend that was popular at the time. And while it was great that we were offering all this stuff, we weren't able to measure it. There were so many different things out there that I couldn't measure if it was successful, if the plan was successful, or even if our employees were benefiting from this. So we decided to step back this year and take a look at what we were doing. We have data. We have data from our health plan, and we know what our employees are experiencing. So we decided to go back, take a look at our initiatives, and base this plan on the claims and the experience that our employees are having, that they're experiencing through medical and behavioral health as being reported back to us by our health carrier, and then create a plan that addresses these top medical conditions. So on a biannual basis, we meet with Blue Cross Blue Shield, who will give us claims data in an aggregate basis. So I know total dollar claims that are spent. I know number of participants. I know prescription costs, that type of thing. I don't know who has these claims. I don't know what family these claims are in, but I do know those top diagnoses, and I do know the conditions, and I know prescription cost. I know that. The level of detail we get into is if the claim was based on an employee, their dependent, or their spouse, and I know an age range. That's it. That's all I know. So knowing that data, and also knowing data that we get from our employee assistance program, which is free to our employees. We allow full-time and part-time employees to reach out if they need assistance. We get that information on a quarterly review, and we know what they're reaching out for. We don't know, again, who's doing it, but we know what they're asking for help with. So I know that information. And I also know that we have a variety of wellness options through our health plan carrier that's free or no cost to us or the employee, across the street at the Health and Fitness Center, classes that we offer here through continuing education, as well as our EAP program. So we have all this at our fingertips to develop a good, measurable wellness plan. So let's talk about the data. So we know through, for 2022, the claims that were submitted through Blue Cross Blue Shield, that the top 6 of 8 claims or conditions measured by spend type. And what that is what's reported from the provider to Blue Cross when they're treating a patient. It's these medical claim codes that they use and they submit to what they charge to Blue Cross. So we know that the top 3 conditions, actually there's 4 that we're going to look at today, but the top 3 medical conditions that are impacting our employees are obesity, hypertension, and diabetes. And this is common throughout the United States. This isn't just unique to WCC. We're seeing this across the US. But as we specifically look at us, and I'm going to talk about participants. And when I say participants, that could be the employee, that could be their spouse, or that could be their child. So we know that 373 participants were diagnosed or being treated for obesity last year. We know that over 200 participants were being treated for hypertension. We know that 97 participants are being treated for type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and there's another 200 that are at risk for type 2 diabetes. When we look at the total cost, and the total cost is not only to the college, but to Blue Cross as well, over $4.5 million spent last year alone in treating these conditions. Obviously, a concern and something that we can definitely measure and take a look at. As I mentioned, there was another one, number 4 chronic condition, behavioral health. We have seen this increasing over the last decade or more, and definitely the claims have taken off during COVID and now post-COVID. We know that depression and anxiety are the top behavioral health claims that are coming through for our employees, their dependents, and spouse. Blue Cross will range these in order of risk, from low risk to high risk. High risk being the most serious. These people are in crisis management control. They are in treatment facilities or seeking treatment. They are in active treatment right now. Medium risk or silent sufferers. They're people that are just coming forward saying, I need help. And then an interesting category are these low risk worried well. Very interesting that these are people that are relatively healthy, physically healthy, but they think they have an illness or are at risk of getting an illness. We have almost 775 participants that are coming forward in this low risk category. When we look at the total cost, I believe it was over $3.4 million combined between depression and anxiety. And when we look at that, when you look at the $2.3 million cost for depression, that's low to high risk. That's not just high risk. But again, over $3 million that we spent last year looking at behavioral health for our employees. The most concerning data point with this, when I looked at this, was who is impacted. We know that 40% of our employees are being treated for this, 20% spouse, and the most concerning piece, 40% of our employees' dependents. Keep in mind, these are children, minor children, or adult children up to age 26. 40% are being treated for depression and anxiety. So definitely something that we can take a look at and impact. We also know through EAP utilization that 64% of the reach out to EAP is for stress and anxiety. Another measurable point that we can look at. And with EAP, it's one of those things that it's open to full-time employees, it's open to part-time employees. And if people are just seeking information, we want to encourage them. Go out and look, check. Through our EAP program, our employees are able to get 6 in-person sessions with a local counselor or therapist for each event that happens to them during the year. So a very good plan that we want to encourage our employees to use. So our objectives, how we redid this, is for the employees, we want to create meaningful program and a program that we can evaluate that will prevent health and well-being. For the college, we want to look at how we can limit the number or lower the number of reported chronic health conditions and eventually lower the cost for some of these preventable illnesses. And how we're going to do that is focus on these top conditions that are affecting our employees and their dependents, which is obesity, hypertension, diabetes, and behavioral health. So how we're going to do that? Wellness Wednesdays. We're going to start off slow, and we're going to brand this, right? Wellness Wednesday, program open to all WCC employees. It'll be held on the first and last Wednesday of every month. And this is going to include lunch and learn seminars with healthy foods, as well as interactive wellness sessions. And we're going to target it just like I have it listed here. Here's the event, and here's the objective. Now, keep in mind, I don't know who these employees are, right? So I'm going to get this out to them, but keep repeating, this is what we're targeting. And my hope is through word and through this, the repetitive, right? This is our objective. This is what we're trying to accomplish, that we'll get the word out and be able to impact our employees' health, as well as the cost to them and to us. How we're going to look at this, we'll continue to have our biannual review of claims and costs through Blue Cross, our review of EAP on behavioral health initiatives. We're going to survey the employees that are part of the wellness program. Are you seeing a difference? Is this helping you? What else would you like to see that will help you and your family? And then finally, we're not done with this. We're going to continue to look at the medical claims and the EAP utilization to see if there are additional or changing wellness initiatives that we need to address. The second part that I want to cover today are the ongoing goals that we have set for ourselves, and that is creating an online platform that endorses employee well-being, as well as on-campus, in-person events and offerings. So we learned through COVID, when we were all at home, the value of getting this information out. So we have a site dedicated for our employees specific to wellness and benefits. The past 2 years, I will be honest, has been inundated with COVID. When to isolate, when to quarantine, all that good kind of stuff. And now we're ready to move forward and specifically talk about these conditions that I've mentioned here. How can you get a hold of EAP? What mental well-being or behavioral well-being is there in the community or here, right here on campus? And how can we start addressing some of these other physical conditions that I've mentioned previously? So this is available to our employees. Spouses, dependents can look at this information at their fingertips 24/7. We continue to have offerings and resources available to our employees outside of WCC. We do our flu clinics. Last year, we did a COVID booster clinic. The employee walking program has moved to a biannual program. It moved to biannual a couple years ago, but we're holding that during fall and winter semesters. We've partnered with the Health and Fitness Center to offer special events and programs, and also looking at continuing education classes that could be of value to our employees as well. Blue Cross offers a variety of no-cost options to participants. One is win by losing contest, which is similar to the Biggest Loser contest from years ago. Blue 365 is a discount program that is available to all our healthcare participants. You can get discounts on various fitness items, programs, Weight Watchers, that type of thing. My Strength by Livongo is an app that is a mental health app that is available to participants in our HMO plan. as well as Able To, which is a virtual behavioral therapy program, which our employees in the health plan can do virtual meetings with counselors and therapists. And again, of course, we still have our EAP services, and we offer a variety of webinars and resources that way. Any questions on any of that?
Single showing.
So question in regards to staffing, because this is a lot, especially on the wellness side.
Sure.
Do you have a full-time or do you have a staff person that's dedicated towards wellness of,
I
for our
do.
employees?
So,
Okay.
so we do have a position in which our officer addresses wellness as well as safety on campus. So that, along with our benefits area, we partner together so that we can have that focus. We didn't have it before. We have it now.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
President
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Trustee first.
Trustee
Just
Doherty.
on the cost end of it, does that include participants, co-pays and things like that? Or
Yeah.
is it-
No, this is the total cost to
So
what we're
that's
paying.
to us and Blue Cross.
That's
So it
correct.
does not include
Correct.
what employees and their dependents might have to
Right.
pay as
Correct.
co-pays.
That's our cost. Yeah.
Okay. thank
And
you.
Blue Cross.
You have any sense how much that is?
Not offhand. I could see if it's in that data, but I don't recall
I mean,
offhand
Is it a percent? Could you guess a percentage of?
of what they would pay.
We're like talking 4.5 million. Are participants anteing up another 500,000?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their coverage level to know what they're paying. But I might be able to find that out. Get back to you.
This is outstanding.
Thank you.
And it is, as this is the implementation of this strategic initiative, you've seen we've come a long way. It's really very, very good. And I'm wondering, I just want to make sure that I don't forget, Vice President Vega, to make sure this is going to be shared with faculty and staff when they get back. Are you on the docket that day?
We are. We typically
Okay,
have, yeah.
because this is, we have to make sure we
Yes.
communicate. This is a great,
Good.
great opportunity. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm going to be talking about priority 2, which is student success and satisfaction. And just to give you a few updates of what we've had over the last year. As we've returned from COVID, we've been scheduling courses to meet student demand. We've developed a tool for students on the website when they're going out and looking for classes, where we ask the student, did you find what you wanted? If not, tell us what you need. And so we're again gathering that data so we can again begin doing classes that meet their needs. During COVID, we had a lot of online classes even prior to COVID, but during COVID, we developed virtual classes, which were online synchronous. So sometimes students, especially adults, didn't want online, which is asynchronous. We've continued those classes. So even as we've come back, we found that those classes met the needs of adult students who wanted asynchronous. They would be able to see their instructor, be able to see the other students in their classes, but have those evening times for them, which have worked out really well. Another one of our adult initiatives is, of course, the state Reconnect Scholarship. Since that scholarship went into place, there's been over 113,000 students who have applied statewide for that scholarship, and about 18,000 of those students are actually enrolled. We've been recognized by the state because we have enrolled 14.4% of the Reconnect participants, so we lead the state in the number of students who are actually enrolled and using that scholarship. So to date, we have over 3,200 students enrolled and 2,400 participants, which mean they're meeting all the requirements to use that scholarship. This past year, we supported our veteran students with a Vet Fest, which was held on campus in July. It was for veterans and their families. It was a fun affair, but we also provided not only resources that the college offers, but we had resources from the community. We had a lot of community people come and support all the different ways that we can support veterans in our community. Some of the mental health initiatives that we've done this past year, our care team continues to be very busy. Remember, that's a cross-functional team with mental health professionals, student services staff, and our campus security officers. During 2022-23 to date, we had over 276 referrals. That compares to the referrals we had in 21-22, but it's a 59% increase from the referrals that we had in 2021. Our personal counseling appointments are significantly up this past year. We've had 598 appointments for 209 students. And you see how that compares to 21-22, where we had 338 appointments for 60 students. We see many students who are coming that already are receiving mental health services outside. They have outside therapists, but sometimes we're just providing case management to kind of keep them on track and keep them successful in their classes. We also have had a lot of students use our WellTrack. WellTrack is a mental health wellness app that we're using. It provides students activities for anxiety, depression, and stress. Over the last year, we had over 1,500 visits by students using that application. We also have our Protocol, which is a 24/7 call service for students. And along with Protocol, we provide a nationwide directory of mental health providers. So again, especially as we are expanding our online offerings, we have students across the United States. Our mental health providers, our mental health clinicians are only able to provide mental health counseling to residents of Michigan. They're verifying that before they meet with the students. But with this nationwide directory, if I'm in California or Utah, I can look up this directory and it will tell me providers in my state and also the specialty. If I want someone specializing in anxiety or depression, that directory provides that information. This past year, for the first time, we had our wellness fair. That was led by our Dean of Students and our mental health professionals on campus. We provided, again, a lot of outside resources came, so we provided tables of the community resources as well as all the campus resources that we provide to our students to support wellness. It was, again, a well-attended event. We also have a Mind Your Mental Health. This is topics where we're covering self-care, health resources, stress reduction. The Washtenaw Weekly is a newsletter that goes out to our students every week on Thursday. And so Mind Your Mental Health is a regular feature in that edition that gives students those resources. And we also, our mental health providers provide virtual sessions on Fridays called Rest, Relax, and Rejuvenate. And so again, it's just going to be drop-in virtual sessions. It also can provide answers to students who may not be sure if they want to have counseling services with us, but they can get more information at those sessions. We've also expanded and had our counselors provide classroom presentations this year. So we've done outreach to our instructional faculty, and faculty have asked counselors to come in, and we do presentations on, again, the mental health resources that we have on campus, as well as sessions on career burnout and test anxiety. To date, over 500 students have been served with this process. We've also this past year partnered with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, and we are providing a WCC Connection support group with monthly meetings. And our Collegiate Recovery Program, CRP, partnered with the Families Against Narcotics group in the area, and we hosted 3 free Narcan naloxone training sessions for faculty, staff, and students, which were very well attended. And you remember earlier our esports, again, another way to support students. We opened up our esports arena with our esports coordinator. We have established and have competition for 2 of our esports teams, but we have open play every day, Monday through Friday. And I will tell you that the arena is packed with people who are very excited about the new space. Now we'll go on to priority 4. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Are there questions?
How many counselors do we have?
4.
4, and they do this work
Yes.
that you were mentioning?
Yes.
Okay.
They do. Yes. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Trustee DeVarty.
I'm unfamiliar with this Washtenaw Weekly. Is that a digital newsletter that goes
Yes,
to
it
all
is.
students?
Yes, it is.
Is it possible that it could be sent to us as board members?
I don't want to see
Just,
it.
I haven't
Plus,
seen
I'm
it.
not going to read it.
What?
I'm
I'll
not
read
gonna
it.
Well, maybe to you, but I don't want, maybe others. I'm speaking for myself. I don't
Okay.
want to.
I mean, I'm just interested in seeing those sorts of communications. I look at the communications I get from the Office of Student Services and other things
Okay.
as well. And I hadn't heard about it, or I was unaware of it, and I'd just like to see it if possible.
Yeah, so because we have a weekly newsletter that goes to staff, and then we have the Washtenaw Weekly, which is for students.
I mean, I'm willing to enroll in a class, and then I'll get it.
Well, that's one way to raise our enrollment numbers.
Okay.
That might be a good idea.
I'm sure we can look at addressing that.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee McKnight Morton.
I just want to say I'm really pleased to hear of all the new programs and initiatives that are being taken, steps taken to ensure the mental health of our students and faculty. Because let's face it, we've all gone through traumatic um, time these past 2 years or so with this uh, COVID thing. And so I really commend everyone thinking about this and working on it and getting it done. I also want to say this, first of all, your report is very right on time for us to hear what's going on with this things that's happening with the future of our college, and to Lori too. I think that at this point in time, and I'm speaking kind of like out of turn, and I hope the president doesn't mind. But I had a conference. It was a directors meeting for Michigan Community College Association last week from um, May 17th through the 19th. However, I'm bringing this in because listening to other trustees and community colleges throughout the state, roughly there was 28, 29 colleges there, presidents and trustees. Um, they're they're suffering, and when I say suffering, they're suffering because their students are not. There are no students. Students are dropping out or moving away, and I hear what their programs are specifically for their region, but they're having a hard time getting students to go into those programs. And I think that when I say we, Washtenaw Community College and this Board of Trustees, I commend us all on what the progress we have made together to get this college out in front. And I don't want to sound boastful, but it's the truth. And when you hear and see and talk to people who are struggling in their institution, it made me feel good, but also I felt for them. And a lot of it's through politics, a lot, not a whole lot, but a little bit of politics in there, and that's too bad. So we are lucky. We're more than lucky, and I don't want to go off in that, but we really are. Faculty, I commend the faculty. I talked to somebody today on my way here. I stopped at a store and the lady looked at my lapel and she said, "What is that pin for?" I said, Washtenaw Community College. I'm a board trustee there. She says, "I love it." I was at another school not far from here, and the professors were not very, very good. So I'm saying this because we are so fortunate, and I appreciate to be a trustee. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You have another.
Trustee Hatcher.
Um, I appreciate your report, Linda. A lot of good programs initiated for students. Um, in a technical sense, I'd like to see more numbers. When you say a program was well attended, were
Okay.
there 300 people there, 20 people there? Um, so in the future, I'd like to see more numbers of participants
Okay.
in the reports. That's all. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
I also want to just real quick, 'cause, I know you want to move on to your next report, but I like what you presented about the mental health programs and even what um, um, brain fart,
Okay.
Vice President,
Leaky.
no, the HR,
Oh, Mahaley.
Mahaley,
Haley.
forgive me. And I say that because when we were at the graduation ceremony, the young lady that gave her presentation to the graduating class, she was very open about her mental status and how she was able to access the programs that we have in place, but then also too developing a group of friends who were also on experiencing the same challenges that she was going through. So this is exceptional, and I appreciate all the hard work that you all have done to ensure that our students, especially the ones that are find themselves in challenging situations, to help them get through the difficult times. And looking at this, it it really shows that, as Trustee McKnight Morton said, that we're in the position where we have attracted a lot of students, from all walks of life, and find a comfort place here that help them to, forward their success in their educational journey. And I really appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
That you guys are doing really, really well.
It's a good team. It's a great
Yes.
team.
A good leader,
Yes.
Linda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm
Hello.
Lori. I'm Lori Mouton. I met all of you before, VP of PR and Marketing, and I am here to talk about Priority 4 Visibility and Branding, and in particular, a new human resources recruitment video that we have developed in partnership with faculty and staff and our fabulous HR leadership team. So before I show you that video, I want to talk about the purpose and why it was created. First and foremost, the video is designed to convey what makes working at WCC so incredibly special. And it's also designed to attract a diverse pool of potential job candidates to consider a career with the college. We want to be able to, through the video, differentiate WCC by casting a shining spotlight on faculty and staff who represent the entire college and the diverse, welcoming, and collaborative community that we have here, all focused on creating the absolutely best experience and education for our students. At the same time, we want to be able to provide a glimpse of what it's like to work and live in Ann Arbor and in Washtenaw County. Before I show you the video, I also want to mention that this video will be paired on a new HR website, recruitment jobs website, that will also include a video that we didn't produce, but we received the rights to use. We Love Ann Arbor and the greater Parks and Rec videos that you see on that We Love Ann Arbor site. So it'll be a combination of our employees telling their great stories, and then being able to see what it's like to live and work in our community. So with that,
in the heart of picturesque Ann Arbor, Michigan, nestled within the lush Huron Valley, a vibrant educational community flourishes. Washtenaw Community College, a nationally recognized leader in innovation and learning, invites you to become a part of our unique and dynamic team.
The culture at Washtenaw Community College is something that really stands out. They try to make everyone successful in whatever position they take. WCC, it's a really warm and welcoming, supportive environment.
I never looked outside of Washtenaw Community College to work anywhere else. I've always enjoyed working here because of the students, because of the faculty I work with, and the facilities here at the college.
People say this a lot, but we are a family. We care about each other. We look out for each other.
At WCC, we believe in the power of education to change lives, and we're dedicated to fostering an inclusive, diverse, and supportive environment for everyone who steps foot on our campus. When you join our team, you become an integral part of our mission, making a lasting impact on our students and community.
What makes WCC a unique place to work is the sense of community. Everybody says good morning to everybody. Everybody makes you feel like this is your home.
The students and all the colleagues are from different culture and social backgrounds. So I think it's very valuable because everybody brings different perspective and experiences to the classroom, to the workplace. And I find this enriching and very inspiring.
With WCC, you'll enjoy exceptional benefits designed to help you and your family thrive. Generous paid time off and 12 paid holidays, giving you the opportunity to create cherished memories with your loved ones. Comprehensive insurance plans providing peace of mind for your family's well-being. free tuition for employees and their families, unlocking unlimited potential for personal and professional growth. A choice of outstanding retirement plans, ensuring a secure and comfortable future. Free parking, because sometimes it's the little things that make a big difference. And most importantly, a supportive and nurturing environment where you can grow, excel, and make a meaningful difference in the lives of others.
I think a lot of us work really well, like collaboratively together. I work a lot with like our advising team. I work a lot with like instructors, faculty advisors, make sure that we're all on the same page.
They are investing in you, so you can invest in your time to give it to the students.
I am a better teacher because of the staff that I'm surrounded by. And I like to think the staff can do their job better because I'm a teacher here too as well. Our community supports us here. Our administration supports us here. Our students are excited to be here. What else could you possibly want?
If you're inspired to contribute to the success of our students and the vibrancy of our community, we'd love to meet you. Explore the exciting opportunities waiting for you at Washtenaw Community College, where remarkable people come together to create a brighter future for all.
So again, the intent of our video is really to give an indication of our brand as an employer, what makes us different, the rich and diverse gift that is our environment and culture here at the college, and be able to convey that in some small way. I'm very proud of this video. I think it's why I work here, and these were just our employees asking questions about why they love it here. One of the things that I think is an opportunity for us going forward is that the stories that our employees told are so much more than this video. So they gave us a lot of storytelling. We have one instructor in particular, William Nelson, who has he's the second at least generation of his family that is taught here. He told that story. We couldn't capture that on this video, but we can capture pieces of those stories, and we've got a great library of footage to be able to help us do that. The intent is to show this video and support human resources and programs and their recruitment efforts across multiple channels. So job websites, targeted recruitment fairs, targeted communications, emails, things of that nature, and then of course on the new job site for WCC. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Trustee McKnight Morton.
This video will be shown where? In this region, or how's it going to be distributed and to where?
So, and I will answer, and I will invite HR to make sure that I'm answering right if they have additional information. So I think we're going to where the people are to recruit the best people. So wherever we need to go to be able to show the video as part of their annual recruitment plan would be the intent. So it could very well be statewide. It could be outside of state. That's why we said Ann Arbor, Michigan. Although I would like to think most people know where Ann Arbor, Michigan is, but you never know. So
Right. Well, I'm asking because if we want to publicize of programs that we have, or even all kinds of programs, are you looking at going into predominantly Black colleges and wherever those schools are located?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I would
I'm
assume
gonna answer yes,
that.
but I'm going to have HR. The idea is to go to where we find a diverse pool of candidates.
I think that'd be wise, because a lot of people would like to know they have the skills and they want to come here to work on those, fine tune those skills.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Hatcher.
Since I'm the old fogey on the board, about maybe 15, 20 years ago, well, you with me, there was a pamphlet produced called Why I Love Washtenaw Community College. And it was full of sayings from faculty and staff about what they liked about being here. I don't know, I might have a copy, but there might be a copy in the library or something like that. But it was Why I Love Washtenaw Community College.
I love that. Thank
Might
you. I
help a
was not
little.
aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and excuse me, but remember the testimonials, student testimonials.
Absolutely.
That worked a lot too.
Trustee DeVarty.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. I'm looking at as we're having the presentations, following this around with the green dots and the gray dots and the yellow dots, which are things we're continuing to work on, even though we may have achieved a green dot last year or this year. And I note that in the visibility and branding, there's none of the yellow dots. And I'm wondering, like some of these, and I just circled advance WCC's digital presence through the implementation of podcast programming and cable TV, as well as streaming video. And that seems like the advent of reaching a broad community, and something I'd like to see a yellow dot on. Not that we've achieved it and we're standing still, because if we're standing still, we're going backwards.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to see a yellow dot there. And there may be some of the other things in this as well that deserve to have yellow dots, that we're emphasizing a continuing to work on these things, that we've achieved it, we've got the green dot, so we reached our goal. But I don't want to stand pat on a goal we've achieved. I want us to continue to strive forward. And that's my only comment. And I in this, the human resource thing isn't even in this list, and it's great to see it. But at the same time, I'd like to see a yellow dot on at least one or two of these other things, that we're continuing to work on those.
That's a great comment. And I believe in the report that we will be giving, we're going to continue doing what you're requesting, but Lori has been with our what we're doing with CTN and the
with
different
our-
podcasts that we've been having. We're in there, but yes, agreed.
Okay, so let's put a yellow dot.
So we've kind of incorporated these things into operation, so they never end.
Oh,
I mean, to
okay.
your point,
Okay.
these are things that we've started, and they may have a green completion dot, but these are not. These are things that only continue in our annual integrated marketing plan. So I'm right there with you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Well, I like it.
Excellent.
That's all that counts.
It was your baby.
This was my idea, and I don't want to throw it out there like, but I just wanted to say it was my idea. And because when I decided to apply to Magna, they had a video, and two of the employees that participated in the marketing video were African American, a male and a female. Now, I don't know which division they were in, but it was those two individuals that sealed the deal for me to apply. And I got to thinking about Washtenaw Community College. We have a host of talented individuals, no matter if they're green, yellow, orange, it doesn't matter. We have a wealth of information, talented people, I'm trying to say, that are just everywhere, not just here in Michigan, but outside of Michigan. And how do we capture the best people for our students here on this campus? And so with some questions I threw out and got the answers back, and I said, well, how about if we do a video? Because this is why. And I like what you did here, as the first step. I liked how you instituted the other cultures in here, because it's not just one. What I would like to see is because you just stated there was an individual that had recounted a story, but it was too lengthy to add to the video. Have little captions, where a person can click on it and hear the personal stories to help solidify whatever, questions they may still have lingering, and they're like on the fence. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I think what Trustee Hatcher had stated, maybe something like that could be brought back. We always have to stay ahead of the game. We're number one and somebody's right behind us to knock us off. Well, we're not trying to have that. So something like this, and we can constantly build upon it. And this will not be our one and only video. This is our first stepping stone. So the next one down the road will be something even more fantastic. So, but I want to give you a huge applause
Team.
to your team, to all the participants that was shown here in the video. I mean, this is dead on, and this is something that I really had in mind to do, which I know is going to take off and put Washtenaw Community College in an even brighter light. So thank you. I
Very
appreciate
good.
that.
Thank you. It was a great team effort.
President Blanca.
I just wanted to say thank you, Lori, for coordinating all this, and thank you to to HR for collaborating on this, because I know the two of you worked very hard
In
on,
lockstep.
on getting this done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Hatcher.
I just, maybe for the next one or something, maybe a few more facts about the college, how big it is, and also, frankly, if you're looking for a place to work, how financially stable it is. I mean, that's a big deal in Michigan, that we're not about to go under. Even when undergrads are looking for, I mean, high school students are looking for colleges, one of the things they look for is endowment. So the fact that we are well endowed and financially stable would be very attractive to prospective employees, I think.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna go write down all these notes.
No.
Thank
you
you.
very
We have
much.
it on, we have it on video.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have the pleasure of presenting on a number of our strategic priorities as it relates to workforce development, partnerships, and external funding. First, I know it's a busy slide, but I want to remind the board of our focus over the last couple of years on expanding our apprenticeships. And just for the board's knowledge, there are 4 types of apprentices that we try to have here at the college. The first are Department of Labor registered apprenticeship programs. Those are the most rigorous, highly standardized, and the most popular. But then what is growing are industry recognized credentials and ensuring that industry has what they need within their particular organizations. They partner with the college to be able to have courses that are already in existence in our academic programs, but they don't want to go to DOL for one reason or another. They want to keep it in-house. But then also a pre-apprenticeship program, so building the capacity of those individuals that may not be ready to jump right into an apprenticeship program. These are generally short-term, 1 or 2 semester programs that prepare people for a 2 to 3 or 4 year apprenticeship program. And then unrecognized apprenticeship programs, which are what we say, it looks like an apprenticeship, it feels like an apprenticeship, and the company thinks it is, but it's not recognized anywhere else but inside of the company. We have, over the last year, grew our apprentices from around 250 to 342 apprentices. That's across our UA apprentices, which had 263. And then our Center for Career Success, which works directly with employers to create these pathways, saw 79 apprentices over the last year. It's important to note that we still have a strong presence of apprentices across the country taking online courses, a little over 3,200, and we see that number continuing to grow. What's most exciting is that we've been able to double the amount of existing apprenticeship programs over the last year. And these are just a snapshot of the companies that we've worked with. All the companies that we work with either have already started to expand their number of apprentices or are in conversations with us to expand. But then at the bottom part of this slide, you'll see there are 9 companies that are in development. Those are companies that are either part of our FAME program, which we'll talk about a little later tonight, but also companies that came to us. We heard about Zoller providing a little over $250,000 worth of equipment. Well, they're looking to have 10 apprentices starting their programs in the fall and the spring. So these are companies that are in development as we speak, and we look to have those apprenticeships start within the next academic year. When we talk about employer-led initiatives, an extension of apprenticeships is really hearing what the employers want. And as the board has heard, we last week were part of a press announcement with KLA, which is actually zero point 0.7 miles down the street in between the Toyota headquarters and their headquarters. But it's much bigger than just KLA. So when we think about them saying that they want to get into the semiconductor space and build a facility in the next 2 years, there are 15 active industry partners across the state that we are part of the Semiconductor Talent Action Team led by MEDC. So when we look to start this short-term program, while it may have an impact around the corner, it very well may have an impact across the state. But then our Federation for Advanced Manufacturing Education, you might remember last year we were selected as the educational partner for the first FAME chapter in the state of Michigan. Workforce Intelligence Network wrote a $5 million grant that wrote in the expansion of FAME, and Ann Arbor Spark is leading the coordination of FAME activities, and we're doing what we do best, which is education and training. So this fall, their first cohort of 10 students will start. What's unique about this apprenticeship is that it goes by the German model. So individuals will come, and we've done this in partnership with the Advanced Manufacturing Department faculty. They will come for 2 days a week, and they'll have a full day on campus in classes, and they will work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And the companies that are a part of this, Toyota being the lead employer, having 5 out of the 10 apprentices, they will pay a wage that allows them to fully fund their tuition so that they end their apprenticeship in 2 years with zero debt. But we see this as a great opportunity and just the beginning of what we are seeing employers beginning to do, and that's put their money where their mouth is and provide the funding for their employees. As we talk about resources, this is probably the shortest slide in my entire presentation. We're gonna get right to the money. Over the last year, we have seen $14.7 million in grants. Specifically, I want to draw your attention to new grants. So from July 1 until present, we've seen 7.9, just shy of $8 million in new grant awards. It's important to note that that compares to a little under $400,000 over last year. So we have seen a huge uptick in external support. Our renewable grants, which are grants that are renewed annually, we saw $2.1 million. That's up from about 1.2 from last year. And our multi-year renewal grants. So those are grants that are awarded over generally a 3 or 5 year spread. We've seen that grow from around 2 million to 4.6 million. You might remember our annual grant activity report, which the board will see later this year. We had about $16 million in grants last year in total, but about 12 million of that was COVID. So when we think about, we have increased nearly $10 million in grants this year. And we know there's continued investment that's coming. And as President Malaka always reminds us, we don't go after grants just to go after them. We go after grants for things that make sense and that we already are committing to do that allow us to maybe get there further, faster. Lastly, priority 8, community engagement and development. We know our college and career readiness, which is the rebranding of the work that we do at Harriet Street and Park Ridge. This year, we've enhanced, as we continue to do each year, our after-school program, our summer learning experience, our weekend academy, specifically for girls and boys, but that we're now moving a new focus to high school age participants to ensure that they eventually become WCC students, whether that's after graduation or by growing our dual enrollment. This area has also been a part of that increased support, seeing a little over $330,000 in external support, highest amount being from Washtenaw County. That's the Community Priority Fund, which is a split between the Office of Diversity, Equity, Access, and Inclusion, which is focusing on supporting our HBCU Day that's coming up, as well as our HBCU Tour. But the rest of those dollars are going to support this department specifically around middle school and high school students to prepare them academically for college, but then also to address life skills and what used to be called soft skills, but is now called 21st century skills. Last slide are just a picture of two different experiences that have happened over the last year. The left are some elementary school students that were a part of our CCAT grant and supported them in learning coding. So as you see, these are very young youngsters that are hopefully going to become WCC students one day, but they're learning coding at 5th and 6th grade. And the right is a snapshot of our weekend academy for boys. As you'll notice, there's some young boys and some more seasoned men, and that's intentional. Around 30 young boys come on Saturday at 9 a.m. And show up on time, get a hot breakfast. And then there's a couple elected officials, as well as community leaders and members from industry that really model and pour into those young boys to ensure that they're going to be successful in life, but also successful in the classroom. I'll answer any questions that the board may have.
Trustee Hatcher?
Just my same old thing about, it was good to say that you said, by the way, it's all wonderful. Thank you. But I appreciated when you were talking about the Park Ridge boys and men, that there are 30 of them. And so I like the numbers. I like to know that there's 79 apprenticeship programs and maybe stories. And are they successful? Do they complete the program? Do they get a job? I mean, on paper, the programs look wonderful, but I'm interested in the individuals who are participating and how many are successful. So that might help next year.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Trustee DeBarge?
Excellent presentation. And I just want to say, still looking at this, the community engagement and development, I'm putting a yellow dot there because it's clear from your presentation that we're still expanding what we're doing there. Even though the green dot is from 3 years ago, I'm putting a yellow dot there in this year.
Absolutely.
But on the funding, the $7 million in grants and new grants, where are those coming from and how many grants?
Yeah.
Just curious about that.
Yeah, so on average, our new grants are probably around 12 or 13, I believe, this year. The 7.9 is a combination of things like D3C3, which is 2.049 million. Our congressional earmark, which actually comes through as a grant through the Department of Education, which was 2.552 million. And then some of those smaller grants that you see here for college career readiness, those are also new grants. Toyota, for example, $20,000. And then like the state of Michigan out of school time fund. So we had, I believe it was on 13, and we'll, of course, later on in the year have a full grant activity update. But we saw a large number of that 7.9 being our large grants, which, have been historic, at least this year.
Anyone else?
I just want to say, excellent report.
Thank you.
I echo my colleague over there. Thank you.
Yep. All right.
Standing branded.
Thank you.
Thank you and your team. It's my.
It's the next
You can talk to her.
Okay, trying to make sure we get the right PowerPoint up. Okay, we're transitioning over to the next part. which is shaping our collective future in transformational times, which is exactly where we are right now. Transformational times. And this is where Julie will start drawing, and it's always really fun to watch her work. So you get to see her. We will not, but we get to see the end product. And we're going to bring you back to this. And and I'm going to let President Blanca talk in a minute. But again, these are the 4 items that we'll. Yes. This is the same slide that you saw before with the 4 goals that we'll be talking about in a minute, that we'll be working on over the next 3 years. And each one of these builds on the goals that we've worked on for the last 3 years. So that's something to keep in mind as we talk about these. And then we'll pass it on President Blanca.
Thank you,
and then a
Julie.
new team will come up.
Yes, the new team will come up. Well, I'm going to stand in front of the board for a minute. I am really very enthusiastic about the future. I'm very enthusiastic about this team that supports me and the people that support them. And what really has helped this college immensely. And so I'd like to thank that board in 2011, and you're here right now to say, President Blanca, we want a strategic plan. Because this strategic plan that we have implemented, because it's based on research, because it's based on a SWOT, because what it is it's about making decisions today with an eye on the future, is why we are here today. What you just heard has been the work of years work to get here, with a keen focus as to where we're going. And one of the things that you know is higher education, whether it's a community college, and actually we have the hardest, we've been hit the most. Community colleges are being challenged now in a way that is frightening. The enrollment declines, the legislative priorities, everything that we are seeing isn't new to any of us. Not one of us at this college are surprised by anything, because we knew it was coming. Later, the board is going to see a quote that I'm sharing with you from 1999. We knew this was coming. We knew these changes were coming. And that's exactly what this strategic planning process has enabled us to do. Now, this doesn't, yes, we have outstanding faculty, or we couldn't be here. We have outstanding staff, or we wouldn't be here. But you could have, and we have a wonderful community. You could have a lot of money and a lot of smart people and have total chaos. We don't have that. We know exactly where we're going and how we're getting there. And what you're going to hear now is where we're going to be next. And we identified, usually you see a long, we have 12, 15, 18 priorities. But these are huge priorities that we're focusing on moving forward. One is creating best-in-class online campus learning experience. And you may recall, we had a meeting down this hall when Trustee Landau was on the board. And we were talking about our master plan. And all of the trustees were involved in that, except you, Alex, but that's okay. And and Trustee Landau said, whatever you do, I want to make sure that online experience mirrors the experience a student will have on campus. And that's exactly where we're going and what we're doing. And it's also this online campus that is I shouldn't say threatening, where the opportunity for enrollment lies. is that online campus, as well as the face-to-face. So we're not walking away from our on-ground face-to-face commitments. None of that. I mean, that's still going to be, we're still putting our resources and our time and our energy in that. But we have decided that we are going to get the best leader in this area to go forward so that we can create this online campus based on what we've done in the past and with the input of faculty and staff that created it thus far. Second one is student success initiatives. And this is where we're focusing on advising. Advising is where it's at. I'm so glad that at this college, it was decided that we would take our counselors and have them focus on mental health and mental awareness. And we take our advisors and have them focus on advising students and making sure and advisors and coaches working together. But our advisors are the ones that have that relationship with each student, that relationship which keeps them on track. It's that advisor that is not only working with students, but is our link back to letting us know what our students need and where we need to do. So I'm not going to say more than that because I have a lot to tell you. The third is what you've been asking for, and it's good. And we can give you numbers. I agree. Creating a data analytics division support structure for decision making. We've always had a research department, a very good research department, but it was based on research. And it was mostly what's happening now and in the past. But what we're looking at is looking at data to make decisions, future projections, what we need to, how we need to make some decisions. And lastly, the new master plan. None of us know what this college is going to look like. And we're going to have to put our heads together and try to figure that out. I'm sure we're not going to get that done in a year. But figuring out what this campus is going to be. But I assure you, whatever it is, it's going to be dynamic. But through this all, we have to have something stable. And that stability is the mission, the vision, and the values. We have to always keep our eye on that. That can never be compromised, nor will it ever be compromised. And the other two questions, or three actually, is who do we serve? Who do we serve? Asking ourselves that question all the time. Who do we serve? Who pays our bills? Who do we serve? And how are we doing? What do they need? And then, what do the people that support them need? What do our faculty need, or our staff needs, or our trainers need? What do they need to be able to provide what the people we support need? So with that, I am pleased to introduce you, Julie. Okay, I get to introduce our executive director of online, Dr. Heidi Schuler. And Dr. Schuler, you want to tell them a little bit about yourself? She has a PhD, I'll tell her, master's in education. Here you go. Okay,
I think I need
it's
this
all
one
about
here.
you. Okay, thank you.
All right. I'll use this one. All right. Well, thank you and good evening. I'm excited to be here. My name is Heidi Schuler, and I'm Executive Director of Online Learning. I come with a significant amount of unique experience. I have served in higher education since 2009, started in financial aid, crossed over a lot of student administration, was a faculty member, and still am. I teach online, and up until the pandemic, I did face-to-face as well. And then I also have held a variety of different roles in online learning and strategic planning, and most of the roles that are held within our Center for Interactive Teaching and Learning. So I'm here to talk with you about some of the initiatives we're working on in online learning and kind of where we're hoping to go and the 3 strategic priorities that we're going to use to really focus in on the online learning.
But before I dive into those, I just wanted to let you know that from my perspective, our strategic vision is really to create a seamless online learning experience. And so when I think of an online learning experience or a learning experience in general, it's any touch point that we see for a student from admissions all the way to graduation. And so this is a very comprehensive approach to who the online learner is, what they need to be successful. And so that's part of how we get it to mirror what happens on campus and also make sure it works for students who may never come to campus at all. And part of the strategic initiative is really to focus on WCC's commitment to learning, success, and satisfaction, which we've kind of woven through all the strategic priorities. So our first strategic priority is to build in the infrastructure necessary to support what's happening right now and to allow us to move and advance into the future and scale our online learning capacity. Our first initiative within that priority, and our most immediate one, is the adoption of a new learning management system. So currently our courses are operated by Blackboard Learn, which Anthology is sunsetting. So we are in the process of evaluating different opportunities that not only allow us to invest in the future, but also sustain what we're doing online. Some of our main areas of focus are ease of use for faculty and students, ways that we can build in strategic support so that students have what they need to be successful, and then opportunities for student engagement, innovation, and helping with faculty online instruction. Another area is the investment in our Center for Interactive Teaching and Learning. For those of you who may not be familiar with the center, it houses all of the wonderful employees who make online learning possible here at WCC. So we have a director of online technologies, myself, we're hiring a senior director. We also have learning management system administrators, instructional designers, faculty support team, and digital and creative media specialists. So it's quite a large team that's really been putting together the foundation that is what online learning is for today. And so what we've done is invest in each one of those employees, giving them opportunities for growth with developmental pathways as well as performance pathways, so that they have a journey that they can take that aligns with not only the strategic goals that we have, but it gives them the skills that they need to allow them to continue to support students and continue to advance and innovate as things change. And as you've heard a lot kind of woven throughout the presentations tonight, things change rapidly when it comes to learning, technology, demographics, situational and contextual things that happen with our students. So we want to try to be kind of always thinking forward and be proactive to what's coming as opposed to reactive to what might be coming down the line. Part of that is going to be developing the data and reporting infrastructure, so collaborating with institutional research, which you'll hear more about later as well, to not only make sure that the data we need is available, and if it's not, collect it, but to analyze it and really focus not only on the traditional metrics, which everyone is interested in, enrollment, retention, graduation, DFW rates, student support, but we're also going to make sure that we have a strong sense of the student experience. So their experience in online courses, whether or not they have the support that they need based on the diversity of students who come here, as well as focusing on satisfaction, value in online, where students go with our online courses, ROI for the college, net new opportunities. So it's a lot of data that we're going to put into place so that we can give you really great numbers and really show and track the progress that we have as we unfold this. And we're also going to use it for continuous improvement initiatives, which are woven through a lot of what we're going to work on. And another infrastructure support that we're doing is redesigning our faculty support team. So right now we have a really strong faculty support team that helps our faculty with anything online. So part of our goal is to partner with IT to sort of streamline some of the ways that we can do on-demand support so that we can free up some of the time for these employees to focus on diversifying the support for faculty between workshops, synchronous sessions, asynchronous sessions, a library and repository of information to really give them the foundation that they need to be successful. And then we're really hoping to take targeted champion faculty to start sparking innovation. And so some of this is really just having them explore immersive technologies, being excited about humanizing online learning, because that connection between the faculty is incredibly important for student success and retention. So we want to make sure that that's key and central to that online instructional component. Another area is going to be scaling and streamlining online learning and online courses. So not only expanding what kinds of programs and courses we offer, but optimizing that process so that that capacity can be built out and we have the ability to enroll more students. We're also going to focus on market differentiators. So once we have some of that data, it's really understanding where we can find places to differentiate the online space here at Washtenaw. So areas where we could provide programs that maybe aren't offered by surrounding colleges, or offering them in a way that's unique to students, so we can enroll students from in district, out of state, and really provide them with that support. Another key thing is going to be developing the mobile responsiveness of our online programs. So right now our students can access their courses online, but it's by far not an optimal experience, and it's not equivalent to what we might see if we were to log on to another device. So we're going to be redoing our processes to really focus on having everything be mobile friendly and everything be mobile responsive. This allows students with the flexibility and adaptability to really log on whenever they want, however it's convenient for them, and engage in their learning experience. And so this is incredibly important because many students use their mobile device, and many students that are coming up from the K-12 system only use a mobile device, my son included. I don't know how it's possible. I couldn't imagine doing all of my assignments on a mobile device, but they really are doing it. So we want that to be the best experience for them. We're also going to continue our collaboration with student services. So during the pandemic, a lot of things were put into place to make sure that student administration, student support was available for admissions, enrollment, financial aid, things like that. And so just really making sure that we partner strongly with them and make sure any barriers that might be specific to an online learner are removed, and that we have that kind of continuity for their experience and their journey. One of those is going to be redesigning our marketing strategies to figure out who we can target, how we can target, and aligning that with recruitment to make sure that online learners are also targeted in our recruitment and marketing strategies. And then one of the areas in that is going to be redesigning some of the website presence. So part of our goal is to make online a viable option when students come to the website or type in whether or not WCC has online, and giving them a way to understand what being a student here could look like in an online environment. So it doesn't seem foreign, it doesn't seem scary, it doesn't seem unobtainable. It seems like something that they might want to enroll in it and engage in. And then our last major effort is to drive student success through student support. And so one of the ways we're doing that is continuing to diversify our modalities. And so you heard a little bit about that previously, our synchronous virtual options, which students do seem to enjoy. We have significant high enrollments in that area, but also looking at other ways we can offer flexible and adaptable learning. Because one of the things that I'm hoping we can do is create the ability to shift the modalities based on student need. And so right now, I know that we're collecting information and data on what the students want, how they want it, how they best want to learn, how that caters to their learner preferences and learner differences. But if we have the ability to shift those modalities year after year based on what the students need and how that changes, and adapt instruction to meet those needs, then we would be able to constantly accommodate the students and make sure that they're the priority in that process. Another area is really going to be to increase student support. There's a substantial amount of ways we're going to do this, but a few key ones for you to focus on is making sure that we address the technological and digital divide built into our course structure. So assuming that our students are coming to us with a variety of experiences, education, different types of gaps in understanding how to navigate the college process. And so the goal there is to make sure that if they've never taken an online class, don't know how to use the technologies embedded in the class, have never used our learning management system, that all of the trainings are built in for them. Because one of the things we want to focus on is if a student shows up in an online course, we want them to think, this was actually built with me in mind. They thought about my circumstance, my preparedness for this class, my experience coming in beforehand, and I think I can succeed, as opposed to coming in and thinking the opposite, which is, I don't think this is for me, and I need to transition out, or I need to leave because I don't understand how to do this. And this is coming from having conversations on campus with students, specifically the adult learners, who are not really sure how to access Microsoft 365 and upload a Word document. So that seems simple to students who do it all the time, but we're targeting so many different markets that we'd rather be more inclusive than less inclusive. And then the last one is going to be enhancing the quality of the online programs. And before I focus on how those changes are going to work, I want to make sure I note that the foundation that was built by CITL prior to me getting here was wonderful. They had so many things put into place to make sure that these courses were accessible, were really satisfactory for the students, followed really great guidelines and practices. So we're going to build on that, and we're currently building out a quality assurance process that'll let us focus on some of the other areas that'll retain students, and that's going to be furthering our accessibility, looking at equity and inclusion in the classroom, focusing on online community building. So one of the goals is to make sure that students who may never come to this campus experience this campus, can connect to other students, can feel like they're a part of this community. And so we're going to build that into that infrastructure. And then we're also going to look at compliance and regulation and make sure that all federal and state laws are being adhered to in our course design process. So I know that was a lot, and as Dr. Blanca said, we have 3. Mine's a very big one, and there's a lot going on there. But we're really excited about it. There's lots of opportunities. We've already started movement on a lot of these different areas. And the more we pull the data, the more we'll be able to report back on all of how these things have moved and what they've done and how they've reflected in student outcomes. I think that's all from me, but I'm welcome to any questions that you may have.
Trustee Fleming?
Okay, thank you. I got a couple of questions. The third one here is on accessibility. I took an online class this past semester, and after all this time, I cannot believe that the screen reader technology is still so poor. There were many class modules where I would go into the PowerPoint section, and it would be locked as a JPEG, and my screen reader wouldn't work. So there's still, after all this time, a lot of accessibility problems like that. And I had to use maybe 3 or 4 different readers across these platforms as well. And you have different voices and different quality. So I'm really glad to see that that's on your radar. I kind of feel like there needs to be like, somebody needs to go do a run through of that class and check that stuff out, because I didn't feel like it was there. So screen reader technology is something that is really important to me as a learner. Even, you know, it just helps me with my attention and focus. But there's a lot of, you know, visually impaired people who need it as well. And I think that that would really be of great benefit to improve the accessibility. And then the second question I have for you is the online exam proctoring on your list? Is that on your radar, like with Examity?
Yes, so one of the goals that we're, so with Examity, that has kind of reallocated itself to the deans and the specific colleges as far as the use. But one of the goals we have for our faculty development specialist area is to focus on authentic assessments. And so that's really giving students the opportunity to be assessed on something and a skill in a way that they're actually going to use it in the workforce. So trying to move away from things such as multiple choice tests and quizzes, because those are not testing skills that students that are transferable. So I think that's one of the goals as part of the professional development, is to move away from that. And in response to your accessibility, I'm not sure if there was a question that I missed, but the statement for sure.
I'm glad it's on your radar, and I hope you'll really focus in on that, because I depend on that feature, and I found it to be clunky still.
Absolutely. And so that's one of the goals that we have. And one of the things I actually was talking with the staff about not too long ago was having them all walk through experiencing what our courses look like when you use a screen reader, when you use different types of learner technology and assisted technology devices, when you look at something on a variety of different devices, just in general, what it looks like on mobile and what that experience is. So we're going to, this way people can see how that feels for someone, because a lot of times if you don't have that background or you don't have that that experience, you can't really understand how crucial it is. So really trying to build that in as part of the training so that those things are experienced is something we were just talking about. So, because I agree with you, until you can see it, you can't think about how to fix it.
I felt like I was troubleshooting the class trying to figure out the screen reader, but it was fine. I figured it out, but you know, it just could have been better.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Trustee Hatcher, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have 2 concerns, continuing concerns about online learning, which is coming and wonderful. And I'm worried about accountability in testing. I'm worried about artificial intelligence. I'm worried about proctoring exams and how that works. It doesn't seem to be working very well right now. And that's our reputation on the line right there. If we're giving credit to students for learning and they're not taking the exam, their brother is, that reflects on us. And so we have to fix that. And the second thing, which I think you kind of address in terms of making the online experience similar to the campus experience, is this the cultural experience. In other words, for me, part of any education has to do with interaction with people who are different from you. And when if you're online individually, is it possible to hide? Is it possible not to have any a relationship with someone or experience with someone who's different from you or who looks different from you.
Right.
And I think that's somehow to put into the online experience is very important because that's really a part of education.
I completely
So
agree
I
with you.
hope that it's not easy to do, but I hope we can uh, in those learning experiences with difference can continue online as well as in the classroom.
Absolutely, and I completely agree with you. It's one of the reasons why I want to focus on the online community building so that the ways in which students engage fosters the kind of interactions you really need to understand the perspective of other people and people in your classroom and their interpretation of the learning. And so right now, I'm not saying necessarily here, but in general, a best practice to facilitate that as a discussion board, and it does not get to that place. So we really want to focus on active engagement with students where they're learning in that capacity and the cultural pedagogy that would support a course to ask those kinds of questions and to create those types of interactions.
Because it really is a skill that we have to encourage in our students. I experienced at the University of Wisconsin one year the top 5 hiring companies in the country did not go to the University of Wisconsin to recruit their graduates because their graduates at University of Wisconsin had not had a diverse experience with people who are different and they couldn't face the new world. So we need to graduate people who are able to face a diverse world. So thank you.
It's absolutely important for global economy to have those kinds of interactions. I completely agree. Thank you.
Trustee McKnight Morton.
I just have a simple question. Are you getting any assistance or do you belong to the student success and online through MCCA? They have, am I saying that right?
Yes, you are. No, we don't. We are far above that.
Excuse
I
me.
mean, I might as well get right to the point.
Well, okay, forget what I said.
Can I have that deleted?
I want to delete it.
Go ahead, and then I'll have Trustee Milshine go after
I
you.
just have a
Trustee
quickie. How large is your staff?
Oh, that's
How large do you anticipate?
So currently we have so there's 9 and we're hiring 2 more and then there's at least 6 part-timers currently. 9 including myself. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. And that I think will sustain the alignment where we want to go, and if we're able to build where we want to grow, we'll need some more people, and those skill sets will be what I've done with the staff is really try to have them all focus on specific areas where they can drive innovation and bring back different perspectives and ideas about their areas. And so we'll look for skills that are complementary to that growth. Yes.
So great presentation. Thank you so much for all this information. The one thing at the very beginning that you sort of moved through quickly is the new learning management system, which I think is that's a huge undertaking.
Yes.
And so what are the steps? How's the decision going to be made on a new system? Timeline?
Absolutely,
all of that.
sure. So we've already engaged in an RFP process. So we have gotten the RFP submissions as of May 16th, and we have a committee that's representative of a variety of different areas across the college, faculty, student, staff, and we have one student representative as well. And so we are evaluating them right now, and then we will give the top 1 to 2 contenders back to the purchasing office by the end of next week. And then presentations will be from those 2 vendors, I think the second week in June, and there'll be webinars. They will be virtual, so you're all welcome to attend if you want. And then afterwards, we will be able to do our full evaluation. We will collect surveys from anyone who attends those presentations, so we get feedback from all faculty and other student groups that want to come, so we have that kind of collective information. And then we'll make the recommendation to Dr. Blanca, hopefully by July 1st, and then it'll come to you all at that point. And we also have our Director of Online Technologies putting together a migration and implementation plan that will show how it will work, how the phases will work, when each group of faculty, students, and staff will need to be present for training, how that training will unroll. We've already put a lot of thought into that. We will have a very clear way to make sure that that happens and is successful. So we are thinking forward about that and what it could look like, and depending on the outcome.
That's great. I'm happy that you have a plan. I think this is one of those make it or break it things.
Yes.
You know, if it comes online and something goes wrong, this could very well break it for us.
Yes.
So, second question that I had is, I did not hear anything in your presentation about K through 12. especially because we have so many partnerships with high schools all throughout pretty much Michigan at this point. Is there anything specific for the K through 12 category that is in your plans?
In regards to what, like the students that would come here from a K through 12 dual enrollment? Is that what
Yeah,
you mean?
dual enrollment. So getting them services and then also communicating with their prospective or respective schools where they're coming from. So that communication segue between the two.
No, but we can absolutely add that. But
Because what I'm thinking, I'm not sure. But Linda, excuse me. Yeah. I believe you've already added that because you were saying that K through 12 works with one of the two, the Blackboard. Is that what you're talking about, the Blackboard or Canvas? Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so a lot of the K-12s are already on Canvas.
Yes.
And so, sometimes it's a transition for them they have to now learn Blackboard when they come to us.
Yes.
But, we work to make sure that they have the tools that they need to be successful in the online classes, because we do have a lot of our online, a lot of our K-12 enrollments are through online because they're outside of our district.
Right.
Yes.
And so they will transition just like the rest of our students. So, we won't transition all the classes at the same time. There'll be kind of a process where we'll transition those classes. But I am hoping that we will pick an LMS that's much more intuitive for our students and, mobile responsive, and it'll be a much better experience for our students across the board.
Great. My biggest concern is just the communication between the LMS system and the high school that they're coming from. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's a good point. Absolutely. Thank you.
Trustee McNamara.
Thank you. I just had another thought. Maybe I should be asking someone else here, maybe Brandon, about Park Ridge Center. Is there any way those students are online there? I'm not sure. I think it's going to be.
So the answer is no, not yet. If you remember, we got a pretty significant investment from the state of Michigan to upgrade our technology at Park Ridge and also at Harriet Street. And many of the programs that we're looking to bring online will utilize an LMS, whether it be Blackboard or whatever we choose to go to. So it's a not today, but as we continue to grow that out, our plans are to utilize that system.
Within this year? I'm just asking. Okay.
Yep. I would say probably by fall with some of our academic after school programs that we're going to look to kind of be that bridge.
That's fabulous. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Hatcher. Oh, Trustee DeVarty, please.
So I'm just trying to think organizationally where you fit. And this sounds like a big department, and it's really important, and it is the future. So you have 9 current full-time staff and 2 incoming, or that you're going to hire.
Yes.
How long have you been on staff?
Since September.
So, okay. So it's a department that's in progress, that's being built, and it sounds like some of the 9, I'm assuming, are coming from other parts of the college?
No, so the center was here previous to me, and it was specifically here for online.
So they were here.
Yes, and they're developing their future.
But one thing I remarked to myself or thought about as you were making the presentation is how you're recognizing the need for collaboration with faculty, with IT, with marketing, with just with student services, and it's clear you're aware of how you have to really be tied in with everything here, even though it sounds like a distinct department that you've come into. And I just want to remark that the presentation gives me a lot of excitement about the future of what we're doing with online, and that I recognize a lot of the obstacles that you're going to face and that we're going to have to do to build this. And if we want to be the best in class for online learning, we'll have to face those. But from your presentation and from the quality of the sense of collaboration, I think you're well situated to achieve that.
Yes, thank you. Was there another question?
Well, I just, I don't know how to put this nicely. I would just advise you to be careful with people, faculty and staff who, um, uh, uh, we, we're facing a lot of retention problems with faculty and staff. And one, I've experienced some colleagues who, instead of learning a new system, decided to retire.
Mm.
So that might be the last straw for people.
Sure.
And it, put some chocolate in there or something
Yeah.
to encourage people to give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have the person who's creating our plan is really wonderful, and the faculty absolutely love her. And so I know that she's going to be able to create a great opportunity for us. We're kind of between the rock and the hard place because the current system is sunsetting. So there is no, we have to do an alternative either way. And either way, there's the learning curve. But to Provost Blakey's point, if we can come up with one that's easy to use, that's exciting, that has that transition opportunities, which is the goal, then hopefully that'll be less of a barrier.
You're not all Linda Blakey who learn new systems like overnight, so be gentle.
I do have a question. When now you have come and you have given us this presentation on what is needed, the areas of opportunity. So I just want to get an understanding how you come about it. Is it not only just looking at what we have before us, what's been working, where the cracks in the road is that need to be fixed on the inside? Do you also look on the outside at other institutions, how they're operating their online class program and how successful or not is working for them? Because we know like University in Phoenix and other online universities, those are university institutions, and this is a college, but still it's the same context, if you will, in terms of delivering the information, the education online, excuse me. So we want to be the best. We're not a university, but competing on that same level, are we able to compete on that same level?
Right. No, that makes sense. That's a great question. And we are absolutely looking at all of that. Each one of my staff members has been tasked with a different area of focus where they're going to look at what other schools are doing, what are the trends with different educational organizations here and across the country, and bring back those ideas. And then we're going to think about how they could be applicable here and how they could be adapted here to actually fit the culture here, the students here, and the faculty here. So we are absolutely working on that because I want to make sure that as we're streamlining, that we're focusing on that innovation because that's what's going to drive that piece of it. Yes.
Ms. Hatcher?
And don't forget to put it in the video.
Oh, yeah.
That we're the best. Thank you.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Any other questions, comments, concerns? This was a very healthy discussion. Very healthy discussion. I appreciate everyone here imparting their thoughts on this report. It was very well thought out. And
thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Much. Thank you to your team.
It was nice to meet everyone that I hadn't met already.
Yes. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I promise you, I'm not trying to be a DJ. My allergies are really, so I might be really low talking today. Just want to let you know it's because of my allergies. So, but as you heard earlier about our accomplishments in student services, where we're going in the next 3 years is very exciting. Dr. Blanca talked a little bit about where we're focusing on advising, and I'm here to share tonight where we are. So you heard a little bit earlier, and you heard several times throughout the last few months about D3C3. One of the things that I want to make sure that we are presenting to you tonight is how the D3C3 program actually is undergirded by student success. You've heard Vice President Tucker talk about advanced IPSE and its opportunities for the students and families that live in Eastern Washtenaw County with school access, college access, and employment. But undergirding all of that is the student success piece. And it's what D3C3 is really looking to do, change the uh, support systems and making sure students are actually being retained and completed. So when we think about D3C3, why did we even get involved in that process? Well, first, this grant opportunity allowed us to work with a national leader in student success, which is um, Georgia State University, and I'll talk a little bit later on about them. It allowed us to have a independent survey or evaluation of WCC's supports of students and student success. And finally, its focus is really about how do we improve student outcomes and reduce our equity gaps. We know we have been very focused on improving graduation, persistence, job placement, transfer rates, not just for individual demographics of students, but all student success. And we're partnering with Georgia State University. It is known as the pioneer for student success. It has eliminated gaps in graduation rates, completion rates for not just certain students, but all students. Over the last 10 years or so, they've increased the number of actual degrees awarded by 84%. I think what you'll see now is probably the most startling thing that they've done. In 2003, their graduation rate was about 31.6% for white students, 25.6% for African American Black students, and 22% for Hispanic students. As you can see, 17 years later, they have, in most cases, almost doubled their graduation rates and eliminated the equity gaps. So you can see across the board that all demographics of students are doing much better with the work that they've done at Georgia State. As part of Georgia State's accomplishments, they developed the National Institute for Student Success, and this is who we're partnering with over the next few years. But their mission is threefold: increasing the ability of colleges and universities to identify and resolve institutional barriers that prevent college completion and do not allow students to flourish as far as equity, looking at that as well. I'm sorry. Please
What about it?
Hi.
You're doing good.
So the second part of their mission is to increase the capacity of the institution using data-driven interventions. So you'll hear that a little bit later on with Provost Blakely about what we're doing in the data side of the house as well. And finally, its goal and for us is really to have systematic change in our processes, not just change one thing, but look at what we're doing to support student success overall. And if those things that we can change those things in support of student success. Their NISS has a three-phase process. First, they assist colleges to identify those problems that impede student success. The second phase is they actually help us implement evidence-based solutions using faculty, staff at these institutions that they've worked with to help us implement these same opportunities here on our own campus. And finally, they help us scale what works. So when they find out what works, and everything doesn't work for every institution, but what works for WCC, they'll help us scale that up. Where are we at now? So over the last year or so, spring of last year, we were able to work with NIST, and they conducted a 3-month in-depth diagnostic of WCC. It began with a holistic analysis of our student data and our institutional data. So they looked at our students being successful, and what are we looking at as far as graduation rates, transfer rates, employment rates, all that information. We gave that information to them. They also looked at, they had a series of fact-finding engagement with staff, faculty, and staff here at the college. And then they did qualitative interviews with key leadership and staff, which included faculty, senior leadership, director of advising, financial aid, so all those pieces that involve student success. And finally, they helped us identify key insights, actionable recommendations, and what are those leading indicators that we need to look at to actually know, to show us that we're actually making progress on those things that we said, what they found for us. So key discoveries, they were very excited about what we've done in improving student success here at the college. They have looked at our historical commitment to providing access. They actually talked a lot about our board policy on equitable outcomes for students. They did acknowledge that our graduation rate has increased, but yet they did note that our graduation rate still lags the national average. Our Black, Hispanic, and Pell eligible students still struggle disproportionately. That our student supports are not always proactive, that students are actually looking for supports versus the institution helping those students find those supports for them. And finally, our supports are not always delivered in a coordinated fashion. So those warm handoffs from one area to the other area was identified as an area where we can improve. There was a series of about 30 questions that were asked in the survey. Tonight, I'll talk about 3 of the high-level ones. First, there was a question that they asked is about, does our college provide predictive analytics to support our advisors, including providing database alerts and regular performance monitoring to students? As you can see, 32% of those who were surveyed said they can't answer the question. And 16% said it was slightly aligned, minimally aligned, and then 20% somewhat aligned. And what NIST said to us about that is that although we have worked to develop a very aligned model of advising, our stakeholders still are looking for greater coordination. They want to know how to get from point A to point B. The third question, or second question was, our students are at my institution, do they receive academic maps for their major academic pathway that specifies what courses that should be taken in what term, in what order? As you can see, 40% of those people 40% of those who did the survey said they could not answer whether or not we have academic pathways for students. NIST, in their assessment, said that while we do have enrollment maps, they are not consistently leveraged in academic advising for all populations. I'll talk a little bit later on it. We do have academic maps for all of our programs, but they're all full-time. And I'll talk about what we're going to do to support that. And finally, they looked at a lack of coordination and planning. So the question was, do we have schedules that are courses that are in the times the student want them and the quantities that they want them? 56% of those who surveyed said, I can't answer that question. And this was for NIST, they said insufficient planning, of course, offering results in schedule misalignment for students. So again, I'll talk about our goals and how we're going to fix these things. But I think as you look at those 3 questions, it really is around aligning how can we better prepare our advisors to help students go from a beginning student to the end where they're actually completing, graduating from here. The second phase started here a few months ago with NIST. It's a 12-month in-depth implementation of those key actionable items that they think that we can create with the insights that they gave us and the steps that we need to address both our equity gaps and remove those student obstacles. What they will provide for us over the next few months is a dedicated NIST team. It includes a senior program advisor and support coaches. We've met with them several times. We have, they are very active in ensuring that we're moving along and ensuring the implementation of the process. Intensive support, that we actually are moving on those things that they have diagnosed for us, those analysis that they had for us. And we have weekly check-ins, what I'm saying, and they actually have clinics that we do as a region. So there's 7 other community colleges that we talk about how we can implement our own steps. They're working with the other 6 schools as well, but this is focused on WCC. So our goals for the 23-26 years. First, standardized academic advising systems and protocols. It is imperative that we align this for our incoming students. Now we have students who are fully online that would never set foot on this campus. We have students who are working 2 or 3 jobs. How do we make sure that we're advising those students appropriately and using technology to help us as well with that? The second one is the big one. This is deploying standardized academic plans for part-time students. Approximately 65 to 70% of our students go part-time. We do have academic maps for full-time students, but we have very few academic maps for part-time students. We'll be working on that. It's a long process because we have students who may need to go 9 credits, some students who may need to go 6 credits, but helping the students understand wherever they come in, how they can get to the finish line. Third, the additional use of early alerts across campus. Right now, we get early alerts on students who are not attending classes, students who are not doing well academically in the classes, but we're not getting necessarily academic alerts on whether or not they went to tutoring, right? That they were supposed to go to tutoring, but they haven't been going. So we're starting to get those kind of alerts because they help us drive academic success as well. And finally, and this goes with our online strategy, strengthening the onboarding process, no matter if you're a on-ground student or online student, so that their experiences here when they first start with us is the best. So that is where we're going. It's a lot. I'm excited to be working with a team of folks in our student services area. Advising recently came back as part of student services. So as a team from financial aid, enrollment management, advising, that first experience that the student gets is it's going to be more aligned. And we'll be able to coordinate that with, what that student experience looks like no matter what. So that is what we're offering as our opportunities for improvement and goals for student success going forward. Any questions? Yes.
Trustee Hatcher?
How many advisors do we have?
Currently, we have 16 advisors.
16. Well, we're going to need more with this?
I am not sure. NIST is going to help us to find out whether or not we're going to need any additional.
Are we paying Georgia State?
No, actually, that was part of the grant. So that's a
Oh, it's
great
part of
question.
the grant, yeah.
So as part of the grant, that was an opportunity for us to get. I mean, I think it's well over a couple $100,000 in support they're giving us through this grant with no cost to us.
Trustee McKnight-Morton?
How did you find out about NIS?
Well, it was through the DC3C. So when you hear us talk about DC3C, there's been so many other opportunities through this one grant to do so much.
I never heard of DC3C.
Oh,
It's through the Chamber of Commerce, Detroit Chamber of Commerce, and actually Brandon was originally involved with it. And in terms of acquiring the grant and the partnership, I believe, remember this magazine? These are our partners in DC3C, the 7 community college presidents that are part of this. So that's how we were. And again, as Brandon mentioned, we don't do anything that we wouldn't have done anyway. But this was an opportunity that we couldn't pass up to work with a leader, national leader in student success as proven by their data and their statistics and their experience. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take that away.
Oh, no,
from
no,
you.
no, it's fine.
Did
No,
you want
no.
to add any more?
No, absolutely.
Well, I just wanted to ask one other question. So are these students, they're already students here, right? And then do they meet, or how does this work out?
This will be for all students.
For all students.
No matter if they're coming in as a dual enrolled student, online student, in person, this is all students. So it's not D3C3. When you think about D3C3 as far as student success, it's all students. There's a smaller component that's working with the Ypsilanti school.
Oh, okay. Then my other main question is, is this in-house, or is it online, or is it both?
It'll be both. It'll
be both modalities. Okay. Okay. All right.
Hey, I have a question because looking at this and being at graduation, and we had one of the largest group to graduate. How did they get through? And then I'm looking at the percentages of they didn't know or I can't answer. Because that, for me now, that's a disconnect.
Well, those are the people that could answer. first of all. I mean,
Well, yeah,
we have a lot
it's
of students here.
obvious.
We
Yeah.
have 20, how many? 13,000 students? 13,000 students come from all different backgrounds.
Right.
Those are the ones that were successful. And go ahead. Do you want to answer, Linda?
You know, those people answering, that was a combination of, there were some students, but a lot of staff that were answering those questions.
That survey was by staff?
And
students.
Oh,
And
staff
students.
and
Yes.
students.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, oh Lord, you had me worried.
No, no, don't worry.
I mean, really. I
Well,
mean,
you should still worry.
yeah.
Yeah, you should worry.
Yeah. Okay, well then this is this is a much needed tool for us to really have to make sure that our graduation rate in the specified categories definitely increase. Though I did see that walk through the stage in the honor ceremony and the general ceremony, a definite increase in the African American community, a definite increase in the Arab Middle Eastern community, and the like. And that is what I noticed right off the bat. So it looks like this is definitely going to put us in the right direction to get everybody on the same board, just like what we saw what happened with Georgia.
And if I may, it's not only about graduation, it's
Oh.
goal completion. Students that come here have different reasons why they're coming here. You know, so it's their goal completion. Some may just decide they want to decide to transfer and they don't ever even get the associate's degree. But it's whatever their goal completion is. Now, we'd love to have them graduate, but
it's more satisfying their particular goal set
with that student,
so that when they do take this survey, they will say, yes, this was here for me. I was able to go here, and so helped me with that, because they helped me get my goal where I needed to be.
Well, what this is about is training an advisor to be able to work with a student from various backgrounds with various goals, training that advisor to be able to communicate, to ask questions, to work with that specific student, and to guide them along their pathway.
Correct.
So, yeah, it's really about a great advising and coaching model.
Okay.
And you're going to see data. You want data, you're going to see data, but data is an interesting thing. Yes, Ms. Andrews.
Trustee DeVarty.
The whole question of measuring success, like student success. Now, I've been a student here. When I enroll in a class, my goal is to learn from a new faculty or a different faculty person, art faculty person, their techniques and their vision of how they create art. And I'm not on some degree path or associate degree or certificate path. And there are many students in these art classes that I've encountered. There are plenty of students that are on an associate degree path, but there are also a lot of students that are like me. And I've seen friends of mine who take photography classes, the same thing. How do we impact these success measurements? Nobody ever asked me, what's your goal? And have you achieved it or not? And there are many students like me at a college like this, but I feel like my classes were that it was a success. You know, I could show you the paintings I've made, and I feel like it's been a big success.
Sure. So I'll say this. So we have, the non-degree seeking students such as yourself.
Right.
A lot of the statistics, a lot of the metrics that we are judged upon are on degree seeking students only. Right. Doesn't mean that we're not looking at how we can support our non-candidates for degrees. Absolutely. Because we have students who come here who have a master's degree who need to take a math class because they're getting ready to take a standardized LSAT or whatever, that they just want to come and get that experience. So we recognize that in what we do.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Hatcher.
My math skills aren't that great, but if we have 13,000 students And 16 advisors, that's a real heavy load for those advisors.
So the 13,000 students or so, the assigned advisors are only to those students who are degree seeking. So it's about, Linda,
So we're at 75% of our degrees.
yeah.
And it's not 13,000,
11.7, and what's 75% of that? I mean,
8,000,
what?
roughly 8,000.
So 17 advisors are working with 8,000 students.
So just
Doesn't sound right.
just know that we have students when they get into a health science program. There are faculty advisors. So it's 17 general advisors, but we have probably 15 to 20 or more advisors once they get into the program. So they move away from their general advisor once they get into those programs.
How many of those do
I have more advisors than any college. We
Yeah.
look at the numbers, we have more advisors than any community college.
So how many advisors are departmental, or 15, 20, something? I don't know.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I couldn't give you the numbers right now. All the health programs, absolutely.
Okay.
But-
Still sounds like a heavy load for advisors, but okay.
But the load would be based on the individuals who are going into to be with that advisor, whatever. Okay. Well, it could be fine.
Any other questions, concerns?
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. It
Thank
was
you.
a healthy discussion. I liked your report. Thank you very much.
You're going to need a caffeine
Yeah.
infusion. So we're going to, this is Shane Redmond, who's our Executive Director of Analytics and Institutional Research. And both of us are going to be giving an update on where we're going with data analytics. So this past year, we've had the goal of establishing an analytics and institutional research office. And that was to focus on current as well as after the fact. We've had an institutional research office for many years, but I kind of felt it was like post-mortem. It was always after the semester, after the year. And so really, by putting the analytics part into institutional research, we're looking at what's current data, what's things to help us make decisions currently as opposed to just looking at things after the fact. Because we have to make many decisions before and during the semester, not just after the fact. So after many, many, many interviews, I am very happy to tell you that we've put together an incredible team. That team includes Dr. Shane Redmond, who's with me tonight. He started in October of 22. He previously was a senior scientist with the Michigan Institute for Data Science at the University of Michigan, so we stole him away. And you can see he has a PhD and master's from the University of Pittsburgh and is also a University of Michigan graduate. Another team member is a senior research analyst, Benjamin Doherty, and he also started in November of 22. And you can see he also was a data curator at the University of Michigan and has been a GIS specialist also at Michigan State. And he has a bachelor's and a master's from Michigan State. And our third person in our Analytics and Institutional Research Office is Zach Makowski, who's an institutional research officer. He started in January of 23, but he was actually returning to Washtenaw. He previously was a retention data analyst with us. He recently was a business intelligence analyst and data manager at the University of Michigan. He also is a part-time instructor with business statistics. He recently was recognized with a Bravo Award for being an outstanding instructor at Washtenaw. And you can see that he has a bachelor's and a master's degree from Davenport University. So the primary responsibilities of our team is institutional reporting, ad hoc data and survey requests, as well as data analysis and report generation. So institutional reporting, some of these things, we do both mandatory and voluntary annual reporting. So some of the reports that we do iPads, which has a variety of reports. A lot of that student data was provided to you when we do the student profile in the fall. We also do Perkins reporting for all of our career and technical programs, but we also do some voluntary reporting where we're looking at the National Community College Benchmarking Project and also the Voluntary Framework of Accountability. That allows us to look at data and we can compare to other schools and institutions across the U.S. Our ad hoc and data and survey requests, we look at different reports and requests from different areas. For instance, our public safety department is in the process of going through accreditation. That accreditation process required us to do an institutional campus survey. The institutional research office helped with developing that survey, processing it, and analyzing it for the public safety department. Another area we would look at would be working with an academic dean where we looked at particular classes and looked at success rates. And so Dean Slomelski could determine which classes might be good to take in an accelerated format in maybe a 3 or 4 week format. And again, looking at what those current success rates are and helping select those classes. We also worked with Dean Lambert and looked at some of the health sciences. They administer surveys to students and external program partners to make sure that our programs are staying current with the needs of those external partners. We also have done in-depth analysis with different databases that we have access to. We've tried to do predicted enrollment over the next 4 years from area high schools. This has become very challenging. Used to be, people who started in 9th grade, they went to the same high school. Now with school choice, students are all over the place. So it makes it much more difficult to kind of anticipate what the graduating classes are going to look like. We also looked at, where students have been going to schools over the last 10 years. We could look at the National Student Clearinghouse and also for CEPIs. The state has a Center for Educational Performance and Information where all graduates and college students are loaded into the system. We focused on regional school districts and we looked at, while we've had a slight decline in enrollment at community colleges, that pandemic certainly accelerated this trend, but we fared much better, as kind of Trustee McKnight Morton mentioned earlier. We have fared much better in terms of getting our enrollments back and maintaining our enrollments. We've had our local high school enrollment increase in 21-22. Some of our partners, Lansing, Oakland, Macomb, if we look at their districts and those students feeding those schools, they continue to have declines in 21-22. We've also made recent improvements to our data and reporting tools. Argos is allowing us to do data reports on student, financial, HR data retrieval. If you remember when we've looked at done the profiles, the annual and financial aid profiles for the last 2 years, those reports were generated in Argos. And then we also have a new tool called Lightcast Analyst, which looks at labor market analytics. Our new Argos reports, we're looking at schedule analysis. We talked about earlier of how are we scheduling classes to best meet student needs. So we're looking at trends and mode of instruction, and we're looking at how we're scheduling classes over the semester by weekdays. And we're also looking at program retention from fall to fall over multiple years. This gives you an idea of some of the reports we're able to run. So we're looking at 5 terms. So we're looking at 5 falls. We can look at the falls prior to COVID, the falls during COVID, and as we're coming back and as we're trying to address student needs of bringing more classes back to campus, these reports can have us look quickly and evaluate by division, by subject, by department, and how those enrollments look and the scheduling looks like. Our program retention, we can look again, we can select a report and look at program retention by age, by gender, by ethnicity, and we can look at where students are starting a particular program and how over the next several falls are they graduating. In those reports, that's a report that's under development. Now I'm going to have Dr. Redmond talk about our new Lightcast Analyst tool.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So yes, I'm going to talk about Analyst, which is by Lightcast. It's our labor market analytics tool that's brand new to us. So how it works is that Lightcast basically, they scrape regularly data from publicly available sources on the web, and this produces billions of economic and workforce data points. So some of the examples of the data sources are U.S. Census Bureau data, Department of Education data, including the IPEDS report, which all schools report, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they even scrape data from job postings on company websites, but as well as just general job posting websites, and they even scrape resume data that are publicly available online. So one of the really nice things about Analyst is that you can get pretty granular in the data that you want to select and to view. So depending on the report that we are looking at, data are available at the state level, at the metropolitan statistical area level, the county level, and zip code. So you can see on this screenshot, I can basically put in WCC's address, and I can select how many mile radius, basically, from WCC of where I want the data to be pulled from. So you can see this pulled up just within 50 miles, the 10 counties that are within 50 miles of Washtenaw. But if there were any on there that I wanted to take out or any that I wanted to add in there, I could do that very easily, and then all of the data would reflect that. So there are 4 main reporting areas and data areas within Analyst where we can run reports. And so what's nice is that there are a lot of predefined reports in each of these areas. But what's even better is that it's also very customizable. So any of the metrics that are in these predefined reports, if they're not of interest to us, we can take them out. If there are some that they have available that are not in the reports, we can add them in. So the 4 main areas of data and reporting and Analyst, which I'll talk about each of these in turn in the following slides, are occupations, job postings, industries, and programs. So in the occupations reporting section, this will contain data about job openings in our specified region, expected job growth, unemployment numbers, earnings, demographics, and a lot more. So you can imagine that this would be very useful when we are thinking about developing new programs to offer, when we're evaluating existing programs, marketing programs that have high growth potential over the next 5 years, but even by HR when they are coming up with job postings or doing hiring to see median earnings, demographic breakdown, and things like that. So this screenshot is just an example of one of the reports that we could run. And this was basically sorted so that it's from highest growth over the next 5 years to lowest growth within the 10 county region surrounding Washtenaw with occupations that have greater than 50 or greater jobs available. So you can see that we could use this and say, okay, what programs are we offering that would fill these needs over the next 5 years? Or are there any programs that we might think about developing to fill in some of these needs for high growing occupations? The job postings reporting area, this will include information about job titles and related skills, related jobs, career pathways, and overtime trends within the region that we select. So again, this would be useful for program marketing, also curriculum development and resume writing assistance that we offer to our students. So this is an example, this screenshot of a top common skills report for radiologic technicians, which I put into Analyst. And the dark blue line basically is the frequency in which these skills appear in job postings. And then the light blue line is the frequency with which these skills appear in resumes. So you can imagine that if we're helping students write resumes, for example, and we identify where there are very large gaps, we could help students emphasize those skills to make them more competitive on the job market. An analyst does this for common skills like communication, customer service. They also do it with specialized skills for occupations, and I'll show one of those examples in a few slides, and also software skills for the occupations. The industries reporting section, this is similar to the occupation section, but it's kind of higher level. It provides industry-wide trends, including job openings, growth, earnings, demographic breakdown. This could, again, be very useful for career services. You can see in the screenshot, it lists the top companies who are hiring within our specified region, so that would be helpful information when we're helping students find jobs. It could also be helpful for workforce development. So another section of this report that I don't show here is it shows in-demand skills by employers within an industry over time. It breaks it down by quarter each year. So we could partner with employers who might want to upskill their workforce in those in-demand skills that have been kind of gaining prominence in the industry. And then the final section is about academic programs. So here we have a comparison of academic programs that are available in the specified region. information about program completions, the competitive job landscape, skills needed, top employers, and top talent providers. So again, really useful for program evaluation and development, also curriculum planning and career services. A really nice tool in this section is that they have a predefined program evaluation report that includes common metrics that institutions would be interested in when they're evaluating their programs. So the next few slides I'm going to walk through just a very short snippet of what this looks like. So the program that I chose for this example is dental assisting, and all of the slides are filtered to just the 10 counties surrounding Washtenaw. So you can see just a very broad overview section of target occupations for the dental assisting program. And here the only occupation listed is dental assistants, because this is a pretty specialized program. But you can imagine if we select a different program, there might be several occupations where graduates from that program go into. So here you can see the number of jobs that are available in the region we select, the 5-year expected growth or decrease in those jobs for the region, median earnings, and then annual openings. It also breaks things down graphically, so this provides some of the same information as the previous slide, but it actually goes back to 2001, these data, and it compares the regional data to state data as well as national data in terms of percent change in jobs. The report also provides top companies, similar to what I showed a couple slides ago. Again, these are top companies who are posting these jobs in the region that we select. So this is, again, dental assisting, and it includes the total of jobs that these companies have online, the total that are unique of those jobs, which then creates this posting intensity ratio, and also the median duration and days of the postings that are available online. It also includes a section on top talent providers, so educational institutions who are providing the talent into these jobs. So it will rank our institution based on other regional institutions, and again in the area. So you can see for dental assisting, Washtenaw is ranked 3rd for providing dental assistance to these jobs in the area. And then the final example for the program evaluation, I showed previously the top common skills. This is an example of one of those top specialized skills reports. So you can see rather than common skills like communication, these are specialized skills for that profession. So you can see this could be really useful when we're thinking about our curriculum and the courses that we offer. So sterilization, you can see the frequency and job postings versus resumes. So we could look at our courses and say, are we training our students in this area to make sure that they're competitive on the job market? So that's basically it for analysts. I mean, that's not it. That's a very small portion. It can do a lot of things. And then the final slide that I have for you is just one additional process improvement that my office has implemented recently. So we have a new analytics and institutional research website that's available to all staff. Prior to this, there was no, I should say the process was a bit more informal about requesting data from institutional research office. So as we developed this new website, we really formalized the process for requesting data from our office. It includes a new data request form to kind of standardize the questions that we ask to faculty and staff who are requesting data from us. This helps us stay organized internally, but also make sure that the data that requesters are asking for can actually answer the questions that they're interested in. Thank you.
Questions? Trustee Hatcher?
I was happy to see the new process for requesting data, but apropos your example, does the dental assisting program know all that you know about dental assisting in those 5 counties? I mean, do you give them information before they request it, or they have to request it from you?
So, okay. So the analyst tool, we do not provide data to analysts. They just scrape the web from all available public sources. So if a faculty or staff member is interested in getting this data, they would request it to us, and then that would open up a dialogue between my office and the person requesting it to narrow down what they're interested in getting from
But
analysts.
does the dental assisting program know that you have data like this?
Oh,
This is a new tool.
Yeah.
We're just
Brand
kind
new.
of figuring out kind of what data we can get out of it.
Okay.
So we'll be letting the areas know that.
Okay.
It's got a few licenses and are just learning the tool.
Thank you.
Trustee Milshine?
It's great to have all this analytic information that I'm sure our marketing team is probably going to take advantage of, which I think is going to be great for the college in order to boost our enrollment, especially in programs that are up and coming or even existing programs that are maybe taking off. So looking at our marketing director, VP of marketing, because I think that's going to be a huge plus to the college. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're almost done.
And I get to close things out tonight with a discussion of the campus master plan. So first, some context. Trustees here, with the exception, I think, of Trustee Milshin, will remember participating in the master plan process not that long ago. We completed a master plan in November of 2019, and that process had launched in April of 2018. So it was almost pushing a 2-year process. And that was a really rewarding campus-wide initiative that included multiple input sessions, extensive look at data. We shared an environmental scan that we really dove deep into demographic data and had lots of really deep conversations about what we thought the future of our student population would be. We had about 250 participants take part in conversations as we were starting to look at what the master plan would look like, working with Albert Kahn and Associates at that time. And some suggestions that came back in that master plan included outdoor student spaces, a front entry to our campus, a more prominent entryway and a more prominent front door to campus, some better connections and wayfinding through the campus, and collaboration space for students. So these were all things that happened with the last master plan. And these were great suggestions that we, have started to look at. And with each session that we had, we asked the question, what will the campus and what will the student look like in 5, 10, and 15 years? Which, thinking about that now, almost seems a little quaint because we didn't know that in just a couple of months after we had this master plan delivered, that the campus would be shut down and that we would actually have all of our students going online for an extended period of time. So things changed dramatically. And you might ask, why a new master plan? Well, here we have it. We have a number of really good reasons to consider doing a new master plan. And what you see on the screen here, some of these come from a study on campus planning from the EAB. But these are things that we looked at the first time, but we need to look at them in a different way now. Changing student demographics, enrollments, and patterns, especially patterns of course taking. The impact of online online classes on our campus space. We looked at that in the last master plan. We talked about what is the impact of online going to look like on our physical space. That is a whole different conversation now than it was then. The impact of the future of work on spaces for work. We're working far differently now than we were working then. New technologies and how that impacts us. Changed expectations for services and design. For example, students expecting services for wellness and inclusivity now that didn't exist a few years ago. And this is a big one, changed expectations for multiple modalities and constant flexibility. Our students flex between online and on campus and the virtual classroom. So, how do you address those needs from the perspective of the physical campus? And you'll see we have a quote here. The Society for College and University Planning does a campus facilities inventory every year. And this year they noted that about 6 out of 10 colleges and universities are actually planning to do a new master plan within the next year as a result of all this campus change. So something that we used to do every 10 years, more than half of colleges are accelerating because of all this change. The EAB study, Building the Campus of the Future, this is a quote, "The pandemic has accelerated a shift toward multimodal campuses that accommodate hybrid learning and promote collaboration." So again, we're talking about accommodating different modes of study, and collaboration was a major part of the recommendations of our last master plan. And that doesn't mean it's not still important. Student collaboration is really important. It just may happen in a different way in a different campus environment. So the process, this is a long process, as President Blanca mentioned before. There will be an RFP, and an important aspect of this is a space utilization study. The last one that we did was in 2016, so things have certainly changed since then. We would complete an environmental scan and look at trend data, and also look at campus and local data, look at regional data. And as last time, we had working groups and a steering committee that led this initiative. This is a very collaborative and wide-reaching endeavor. And certainly working in collaboration with facilities and other areas on campus is really important. But we also involve faculty, staff, students, and also some external constituents. And then whatever organization we're working with would bring us development of alternatives to look at and have additional feedback sessions after that. It's an ongoing process throughout the master plan cycle, and then before bringing final recommendations to us. So we will keep you informed. It's a really exciting process for us, but it's also a really key opportunity for us to be proactive in thinking about what our students need and what our community needs as we think about what our campus will look like.
Questions? Vice Chair Milligan.
I think in conjunction with the master plan that it would be interesting to take into account employers in the workplace, because that's changing dramatically. Nobody's sorted out what the hybrid workplace is yet or what it's going to evolve to. And we're training people to go out into the workforce, and that ought to be incorporated.
Agreed.
Marty?
I'm not sure if it's included in trend data that we'd be asking for, but certainly with the data analytics we can do about different job areas, or like I'm thinking expansion of healthcare services and internet security. Two of our strengths are tremendous growth areas, and if we see data analytics that support that, maybe that wants to be part of our master plan. And there may be other areas as well, some that aren't necessarily current strengths that we offer, but to look at what the future job market is going to be 5-10 years out, and might drive some of the decisions we make about our master plan.
And we did look at that last time, but having a tool like this is going to make it a whole lot easier and more fun. And so it'll be really helpful for something like this. Thank you.
Trustee Milshine?
I think it would be also important to talk to the surrounding communities. So, for example, Ann Arbor's undertaking a master plan revision at this point. So, I think it would be important to get those stakeholders from the surrounding communities to see what their ideas are around us so that we have a better idea of what the space around us is going to look like so we can plan for what we have here.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? President Blanco?
Yes. Just a reminder, this is going to take a while. I think everyone knows that. So, yeah, we'll have it a year from now. We'll actually have it all done. But it's going to be exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank
Great
you.
job tonight.
And that ends our presentations. Thank you.
It was very well done, very informative, a lot of hard work. Thank you. Thank you. Geez, where are we now? I've lost track.
Okay, I'll tell you.
We're on tab B, the personnel recommendations. That the Board of Trustees approve the personnel recommendations as submitted.
So
Do I
moved.
hear motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Support.
And it's been supported. Do a roll call vote.
Questions?
Yes, questions for Trustee Hatcher.
Just a voice vote.
Yeah. It, if I read it correctly, that there's over $83.5 million for personnel. So I'm wondering how many positions, new positions does that represent? Or is how many, where are we going with this? Are we adding people? Are we staying the same in terms of personnel projections with the budget? Does that make any sense?
VP Gary?
We're not adding any personnel.
Okay,
That's just the increase in wages.
right. So it's not adding numbers of people, okay. So in this report, we've added 3 positions and lost 8 people. We've added 3 and lost 8. Is the Amy Halloran Support Service Secretary, is that a union position? It's OPT. And who does that person report to?
The HSS.
The what?
Dean Britton's the division.
Okay. And who does the student newspaper coordinator report to?
That reports to the directors, Pete Leshkovich, the director of activities and student development.
Okay. And is the facility shift supervisor a new title? Yeah. Okay. I think that's all my questions. Thank you.
Vanessa, please call the roll.
I think it's just a voice vote.
Just a voice vote?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Tab C, VP Barnes, you have anything you'd like to add before we go any further?
Sorry, battery died on me over there. Tab C, there you go.
Okay. I'll just hit a couple of highlights for you. First, talking about the spring summer semester, we are on track to be probably a little ahead. You see here that we're about 180,000 exceeding where we thought we'd be this time for spring summer semester. I would expect that we'll stay slightly positive there. We were less conservative in the budget for the summer, and we're still exceeding that number. Some other highlights, you'll see that on the property taxes, at 63.7 million roughly, we're already exceeding what we had budgeted for the entire year. I'm expecting that we'll come in about 1.6 million favorable when all is said and done. I had been saying 1.2 million for most of the year. It actually is turning out that we're getting
some refunds from the DDA that we weren't expecting, and we're actually less refunds to constituents that weren't requested. So it's actually going to be around 1.6, we think. For state appropriations, one new development that we've had since the end of April, which this report is as of the end of April, the local property, or the personal property taxes, which are reflected in the state appropriations line, are coming in about $1 million ahead of where we thought. It would be nice if I could say I was just conservative, but we have no way to forecast that number. That's just something that we go by talking to people, but we don't have any way. Fortunately, it worked out very well this year at $1 million favorable. That's not reflected yet, but that'll be paid before the end of the fiscal year. And finally, I'll highlight the investment income by the end of the year because of interest rates again at about $1.8 million. In total revenue should be probably slightly below 7 million when all is said and done at the end of the year. Similarly, for expenditures, this is a little, at 7.7 is where it is right now for expenditures in terms of favorability to budget. I would expect it to be around 6.5 at the end of the year. So you'll see here that we are quite a bit ahead of budget. However, we do, as you'll recall, at the retreat and in the budget presentation, we do have over $20 million of projects that are upcoming in the somewhat near future, 3 million of which is on the docket later tonight. So that is coming forward. So this surplus will allow us to fund a portion of that $20 million that's upcoming.
Questions?
I move we accept the financial report.
Or
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to the Facilities Development Report in tab D, VP Beshi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to begin just a quick update on just a few of the active deferred maintenance projects. Begin with, if you look under deferred maintenance, item 3, the OEB unit heater makeup air exhaust. That work began in May. We're in the middle of replacing unit heaters. You can see the picture on the far left is unit heaters inside the welding lab being replaced. Last week, we lifted the 2 makeup air units on the roof of the OEB building, and that work is in progress and scheduled to be done in early June. The parking structure project, that's the 10-year maintenance plan that we talked about. That work began as well in early May. Working from the top down on the upper level, you can see a picture of seal coating some concrete joints. The picture on the left is a thing called a connection pocket. Make repairs to all of the connection pockets. The picture on the right are cable anchors, and they've got a metallic waterproof coating on that. The upper level was sandblasted last Friday and coated over the weekend. And like I said, we're moving down, and that work is scheduled and on track to be completed by the middle of June. And then finally, an update on the sanitary main replacement. That project, 2 started in early May. Last week, they mobilized. The picture on the right is the machine that does the directional boring. The picture on the left is actually the drill bit that shows the hole that they dug. I can tell you that the entire pipe system between Community Park, lift station, and the manhole out at East Huron River Drive is installed. That pipe was finished yesterday. What they have left to do this week and early next is make final connections. There's a couple of valve control pits that need to be installed. That work will be done. They'll pressurize it. We have a coordinated final connections over the weekend, the first weekend in June, and by the week of June 5th, that system will be operational. More pictures of the sanitary main replacement. Again, the project is tracked very well. It's on schedule, and we've had no issues or concerns. So that really wraps up the highlights of the development report. Are there any questions?
Trustee McKnight Morton?
One of the things that I don't know why, but it catches my eye every time I look at this sheet is the restroom renovations, and it's on hold. Why?
We went out for bid. That project, we are going to revisit the cost of it and see if we can't bring it back in under budget.
It's over budget.
It was the pricing came back higher than we had budgeted.
Okay. And is it all the restrooms?
So there's two restroom projects on our deferred. We have a campus-wide restroom project, and that's in design and under review. And then there's also a second restroom renovation in the student center, a separate.
All right. I think that's what confused me. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Trustee Hatcher?
Not listed here, but I live around the corner, and the land that we owned where we had to plant all the trees that the deer are now eating, but that's another question. There's a porta potty there, and I'm wondering why.
I'll find out.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you for the photographs, VP Beshi. I'm a visual person. Thank you very
big
much.
enough?
We'll find out.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, now moving on to remarks of the members of the Board of Trustees. Would anyone have any remarks they would like to express?
The highlight of the commencement for me, outside of all the joyful faces that crossed the platform, many whose hands I got to shake, was listening to Trustee Landau's remarks about his family history and the story that he told, which was a multi-generational Landau's from immigrating from Germany and getting education and being successful in the workplace. And rather than a speaker standing up there sharing platitudes about how important your education is, this was a life story about how education came home to roost and made the Landaus what the multi-generational family they are. And if there's a way that that can be captured and posted on the website or otherwise memorialized, I think that that would be worth having so that other people who weren't there could share it.
Hey, Lori. Oh, good. Trustee McKnight Morton?
Oh, I think I said this before. Every year, it's amazing for me when I shake the students' hands. I stop and ask them, "What are you going to do now?" And some will automatically say, "Well, I'm going to be a dental assistant," or "I'm just going to do what I'm doing now because I work at U of M." And some are surprised by the question. But then when I say, "Well, what type of job? What type of occupation?" One particular really caught me. She said, "I want to be an auto mechanic." I said, "But I just heard that you got your certificate in something else. I don't remember." She said, "I changed my mind. This is what I want to do." So I was like, this is really why we're here, to talk about and see students and how happy they are that they've accomplished their goal. No matter what they're doing, had been doing. Another person I asked was an older lady. I said, "What are you going to do now?" She said, "I don't know, but I'll find out." So that's my goal, to ask every year when they're crossing, "What are you going to do?"
Trustee Hatcher?
As we talk about the future and goals, I have two that I'd like to put into the pot. Um, and the first is to emphasize the fact that this is a community college. And I think the community and working with Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, the communities are suffering. People don't have a sense of community. They've been shut in for a while. And I'm not sure what it means, but I think the services we offer, non-academic, um, need to be focused on creating a community here where people feel safe and supported. That has to do with advising and it has to do with the wellness programs, but it also has to do with a culture of community that I think we should strive for. Um, I mean, you know, the family's breaking down, churches are breaking down. All of our sort of institutional supports are weakening, and I think we have an opportunity to be a strength of community. And the second is you probably have noticed over the years that I keep track of the people, the HR form, and I scratch people off who are leaving, and I add people who are staying, and I ask who they report to, and so forth. And I think that somebody needs to take a look at our organizational structure and simplify it and organize it in a different way. Things have changed, people come and go, new assignments have been made, and I just would like a sort of comprehensive look at that structure for the future and to maybe simplify it um, and sort of reorganize it. But those are my two suggestions for the future.
I just want to say I attended the Washtenaw Economic Luncheon and it was really good. It was almost standing room only that it was really good. And kudos to VP Brandon Tucker for bringing in, was it 5 new companies to attend the luncheon? Yeah, I thought that was really, really remarkable. That was great. Got a chance to speak to a few of them. They really enjoyed it, had a lot of insights to share on the presentation. I don't remember all of it, but I can tell you this, when the gentleman stated there were over 700,000 that have left Michigan, my ears perked up. So the video that Miss Mouton put together, I hope that we can bring those 700,000 plus back. But yes, it was really, really nice. I enjoyed it. Okay. President Blanca?
Yes, thank you. Well, we made it to the academic year. 2,500 students graduated, and I really like to thank the faculty and the staff and everyone that has made that happen throughout their experience here, as well as the individuals that put the ceremony together. Um, you know, Kathy Curry and her team, as well as Tina Casali, and the alumni group putting that together, the foundation group for the graduation. So that was wonderful. And I'd like to thank the trustees that also attended. It's been a very busy month. We've had a lot of media attention. As you've probably noticed, we've been very high profile for the great work we're doing with various partnerships. We're getting a lot of attention this week. Actually, tomorrow I have an interview with Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist regarding our recently announced semiconductor technician training program and developing a partnership with the Michigan Semiconductor Talent and Automotive Research Initiative, or STAR. And this is really a remarkable partnership that includes the University of Michigan. As a matter of fact, the president of U of M will also be in this interview tomorrow, and KLA. was on WJR. I don't know if you heard me. Thank you very much, marketing, to discuss what we're doing in semiconductor training, as well as the efforts that we're having with Zoller, all the partnerships that we're having to train the workforce. You know, it is all about talent, and that's why people are leaving, because there isn't any talent, and they're looking for talent, and it's great that we're providing it. And that's that. I already mentioned that. And just a reminder, saw those beautiful blue tablecloths outside out here. That's for the Women's Council luncheon tomorrow. The Foundation's Council celebration. We will be honoring 3 outstanding women for their leadership: Michelle Crum, Donna Dolman Dickerson, and Nancy Margolis. And our keynote will be provided by our outstanding alumni Aisha Bo. And all the proceeds from that event support our Student Emergency Fund. That's it. Yes, sir.
And Michelle Crum is going to be a member of the Washtenaw Community College Foundation, board member.
That's right. Yes.
So
Good. Good.
And can I just say one more thing? So, our Entrepreneurship Center had their pitch contest.
Mm-hmm.
$20,000, right, was awarded at this pitch contest.
Really?
And you made me think about that, Trustee Milliken, because when we came up with this Entrepreneurship Center, we invited entrepreneurs to help us. And it was just a few of them sat around a table and helped us develop it. And Michelle Crum was one of them. So thank you that's why it reminded me of that. But
that's great.
And that was from a huge donation from from our new board chair for our foundation, who was also our commencement speaker. Oh my God. Bhushan Kulkarni. Yes, $100,000 gift for the Entrepreneurship Center. And I love why he did it. It's because of the community. It's the growth in the community. To your point, Trustee Hatcher, that's what we do, is we support a community. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, President Belanca. So we're going to go ahead and touch base on old business. Tab E, resolution to approve the 2023-2024 tax levy for general operations. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the 2023-24 tax levy of 3.3548 mils for operations as submitted. The 3.3548 mils will generate approximately $71,351,580 of gross tax revenue. Do I hear a motion?
I so move.
Any discussion? Okay, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Davis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Milliken,
Yes.
Treasurer DeVarty,
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Fleming,
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton,
Yes.
Trustee Milstein.
Yes.
Tab F. The recommendation for Tab F is that the Board of Trustees approve the total revenue and total expenditures and transfers for 2023-24 budget plan as submitted. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Support.
There any discussion? Okay, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Davis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Milliken,
Yes.
Treasurer DeVarty,
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Fleming,
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton,
Yes.
Trustee Milstein.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to Tab G. Tab G is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the LED lighting replacement contract with Huron Valley Electric in the amount not to exceed $206,434. Do I hear a motion?
Support.
Any discussion? Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Davis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Milliken,
Yes.
Treasurer DeVarty,
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton? Yes. Trustee Milstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to tab H. Tab H is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees establish a campus security camera system upgrade capital project in the amount of $3 million, and that $3 million be transferred from the general fund to the capital fund in support of this project. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Yes, Trustee Hatcher.
I'd just like to remind everyone that these are not things that we're blithely going through and passing on. We've discussed them and understand them pretty thoroughly.
That is correct.
So if someone was just watching us for the first time, they think we don't pay attention, but we try to. So thank you.
Thank you for reiterating that. That is very true. Trustee Milliken.
I have a question about the external assistance towers, line item $700,000 here. And my question is, will we be taking advantage of existing infrastructure in the parking lots, or are we saw cutting the parking lots to establish these? What's the necessary installation?
Let's make a star. The location of where we've selected those we will not have to tear up the parking lots, and so we'll take advantage of the infrastructure if it's there, but we won't be tearing up the parking lot. But if we put a new parking lot in, we will also be able to locate those when we're putting new parking lots in.
Thank you.
And also, I'd like to remind the board that we will be coming back to you. All that we're approving, if you approve this tonight, is a transfer of these funds.
Correct.
And then we will come back to you with the project.
Actual project.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Hatcher?
I don't see a problem. We pave parking lots a lot around here.
Correct.
Trustee DeVarty?
I have one question. I think this was answered when we looked at this before, but I'm not sure. So these exterior assistance towers, which are out there as emergency call centers, if somebody has an issue or is a security concern and they're out in the parking lot, they can call for emergency service.
Yes, but we want to kind of rebrand those as assistance centers. So it's not just for emergency. So
Right.
maybe, our campus is really large and maybe they're on, the south end of campus and they're like, how do I find the Morse Lawrence building? How do I find? So they'll be like the, blue light, Kmart, blue light specials kind of thing to assistance, not just emergency.
And are there 10 now in place?
No.
So we're adding new ones?
Yes, these will all be new.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Davis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Milliken?
Yes.
Treasurer DeVarty?
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton?
Yes.
Trustee Milstein?
Yes.
Okay, now I would entertain a motion to adjourn the monthly meeting and move into closed session to discuss a periodic personnel evaluation and collective bargaining strategy. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Davis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Milliken?
Yes.
Treasurer DeVarty?
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton?
Yes.
Trustee Milstein?
Yes.
We have coffee